I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody.
Just give me a second, people. Let me set up here.
Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity.
Brother Donald James.
Taking my body possess.
Yeah, this is brother on the Hip Hop and Occult show. I'm gonna play a little bit of music while I get set up.
Calling my God to the west. Taking my body possess. Reading the thoughts of my enemies. Catch yourself and I know what they mad at me. When I can't ever stop it. And I won't ever stop cause the shit is go deeper than music. Cause the shit is my heart. It ain't real, then I gotta just do it. Even though I'm living is hell, but I'm going so hard I won't fail. Boss up, get to flexing, ayy. Working for a blessing, ayy. Who sit down, stressing, ayy. They mad, they pressing, ayy. They reaching, they stretching, ayy. I'm living like comfortably. Hella pounds to the breeze, hella pounds to the breeze. I am a god so godly, ayy. Embody, ayy. Spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ayy. Embody, ayy. Spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. Calling my god, taking my body possess, calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, calling my taking my body possess, calling my god to the west, taking my body possess. I done sacrifice hella shit for this shit. Fuck you motherfuckers talking about. We living like gods on this side. You living like frauds on that side. Fuck on my face with that energy. Ay, yo. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. Calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, calling my god to the west, taking my body possess.
Play that shit one more time. I like that beat. And his brother Donald James.
Run that up, Rico.
You don't even have a title for this track.
Yeah,
it's like that beat. That shit is coming out. Just give me a minute to setting everything up. We're going on set.
Embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. Calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, calling my taking my body possess, calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, reading the thoughts of my enemies, catch us and I won't ever stop cause the shit is go deeper than music, cause the shit is my heart, and then I gotta just do it, even though I'm living is hell. I'm going so hard I won't fail. Boss up, get to flexing, ayy. Working for a blessing, ayy. Who sit down, stressing, ayy. They mad, they pressing, ayy. They reaching, they stretching, ayy. I'm living like comfortably. Hella pounds to the breeze, hella pounds to the breeze. I am a god so godly, ayy. Embody, ayy. Spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ayy. Embody, ayy. Spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. Calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, calling my god to the west, taking my body possess, calling my taking my body possess, calling my God to the west, taking my body possess. I done sacrifice hella shit for this shit. Fuck you motherfuckers talking about. Living like gods on this side, you living like frauds on that side. Fuck on my face with that energy. Ay, yo, I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly,
we'll get started in a minute.
embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. Calling my God to the west, ay, taking my body possess, ay, calling my God to the west, ay, taking my body possess, ay,
All right.
calling my God to the west, ay, taking my body
We'll
possess.
run this one last time,
Taking my body possess.
then we're going to begin. It's like that beat, like that beat, like that beat. Last time, one last time. Let's get going over here.
Run that up, Rico. Yeah, ay, yo, ay, I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ay, embody,
All right, we are
ay,
live on Instagram.
welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ay,
Facebook.
embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity.
All right, it takes a few minutes to get all that up and running. Let me just check things here. All right, so we're gonna still go through some announcements in a minute, and then we're gonna get started. We're gonna have brother Sizzles here. We're gonna have brother Jack stopping by. We're gonna have brother Kevin stopping by. We're gonna have Raven stopping by. We're gonna talk about some shit today that needs to be talked about. Really needs to be talked about. All right, so we're gonna get going right after this song. Just gonna give it another minute or two, and we're gonna go ahead.
Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, embody, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. Calling my god to the west, taking my body possess. Calling my god to the west, taking my body possess. Calling my god to the west, taking my body possess. Calling my god to the west, taking my body possess. I done sacrifice hella shit for this shit. Fuck you motherfuckers talking about. We living like gods on this side. You living like frauds on that side. Fuck on my face with that energy. Ay, yo, I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. I am a god so godly, ay, embody, ay, spirit and energy. Welcome this entity. Calling my god to the west, ay, taking my body possess, ay, calling my god to the west, ay, taking my body possess, ay, calling my god to the west, ay, taking my body possess, ay, calling my god to the west, ay, taking my body possess.
All right, that was Donald James, who we had on the Hip Hop and Occult show last Friday night. That track is actually untitled. That was something he sent right before the show, so I'm not sure if that's got a title yet. But again, as we said, all those artists, you can connect with them. They got their music on Spotify. They got their music on the Amazon app. Tidal Wave, YouTube. So you just Google them, look them up, and you can find their music. All right. Real quick, run through some quick announcements. Hold on one sec. Let me get back to this room here. Hold on, Jack, you trying to get in? Jack, I sent you the link if you're watching. The link is at your email. We got Brother Jack coming by too. I forgot about that. Jack, Kevin, Raven, we got Brother Tizzy here. We'll get into that in a little bit. But Jack, the link is to your email, brother. So check your email. All right. Yeah, so just to run down, as of right now, I know people asking and still, emailing about the event in October. As I said, as I've been saying, it's still on as is unless certain circumstances dictate that we can't do it. I want to make sure it's safe for everybody and people feel comfortable. Because obviously last year we had it was close to 30 people. We were possibly expecting more before all this bullshit broke out. So we have a backup plan. I won't even discuss that. If we have to do it online where people could still register and participate, that would be the last resort. But long story short, we're gonna wait it out as it gets closer to the date. It's just a little too early still to make a final decision on that. So we'll see how things are looking in the next couple of months. Probably we're looking at going into early September-ish, where we should be able to make a concrete decision on that. All right. So a couple things. Also, well, first let me thank everybody for sending the birthday wishes. Obviously, can't respond to everybody. It's hard to do that on 3 different platforms. So if I miss your emails or your posts on the social media pages, it's just hard to cipher through all that stuff. I try my best to get back, but I appreciate everybody with the birthday wishes. Thank you. So let me put that out there. We have 2 upcoming events actually. For the Patreon members on the 20th, we have the Leviathan ritual. That's for tier 3, 4, and 5 members. Look for a video on the Patreon this week. All right. It'll be discussing how to get prepared for the ritual, kind of how to get in the right frame of mind. The ritual is next Saturday, 3 Eastern Standard Time. So I'll be posting something this week to kind of keep people up to breast on that. If you haven't checked out the Patreon page, check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/Beniti. Check it out. There's level membership. I'm sure that'll fit your needs. Private classes, rituals only for Patreon members that are on the page. We also have the Holy Death class, which is coming up on the 27th of June. That's 3 to 6:30 p.m. All the information for that is posted on the Instagram, the Facebook here in the community section. Anybody can sign up for that class. That's for anybody. It can be paid by PayPal. It is $55. You go to paypal.com, use the email address you see in the description box, the canoom19@gmail.com email. When you send your payment, again, please include in the PayPal notes your email address and your name, please. Sometimes people don't do that. It causes confusion. I don't know where to send the link, who it's for. And if somebody else is doing the PayPal for you, make sure you note that and put the email you want the link to go to, because we've also had issues where the email goes to the person who paid, and then the day of the class, I'm getting blown up. I didn't get the link. Well, you didn't get the link because you didn't put the email address that you wanted to go to in the notes. So be clear in your notes. This is my name. This is the email address. Please send the class link to, just to avoid confusion, and then we don't have to worry about the day of the class figuring out what went wrong. All right. So please make sure you do that. It happens all the time. That's why I constantly got to repeat myself, only because it happens all the time. Also, if you are interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, please hit me up. Let me know the days and times you are available and the time zone you live in. That's very important. Note that in the initial email, it saves the back and forth. It saves us both time. I can give you availability, and then we can go from there. Same thing, email is canoom19 @gmail.com. If you're interested in that, hit me up. All right. Also, for those, the mentorship program through the Patreon page. I did a post on Instagram. I've been getting a lot of emails about the Order of the Red Dragon. That's affiliated with the mentorship program. So you have to be in the mentorship program for that. It's not separate, all right, from that. I just want to make that clear. The mentorship program, short while it's been up, it's growing. We're starting to get quite a few people in it now. But again, I want to be clear. It's work. Please don't waste your time if you're not willing to do work. And I mean it when I say work. It's ritualistic work. It's back and forth dialogue with myself and you. And if you're not willing to really go on internal levels, to really know yourself, not just the good things about yourself, the fucked up shit about yourself, and how to work and kind of get your personal chaos in order, please don't waste your time. You know, it's not a thing you just sign up for and you're going to get a bunch of shit to read and all. You can do that shit on your own. The program is about hands-on work. I want to make that clear. If you're not ready to do that, or you don't feel like you're at that level yet, then I don't want to waste your time and don't waste my time. I'm just being straight to the point. I just don't have time for bullshit. And I sure as fuck don't have time to waste. My time is very precious, especially nowadays. All right. I think I covered everything. Oh, the next Hip Hop and Occult show, July 3rd. I want to thank everybody that tuned in last Friday night. We had a fun time. We got a bunch of good shit coming up with that, some good topics. I know when Brother Tizza, he's here. He's one of the co-hosts on that show. We got some good shit planned. Shout out to Brother Askir. Shout out to Eddie Machete. Shout out to all the brothers that came on. Donald James, Brother Montu Mercury, Set Typhoon, and Gerald, Brother Gerald, AKA Marvelous Teddy Cash. So I want to thank all those brothers. They'll be back on. I might just do like we did last week, kind of have a free kick it for all with a topic in the second half. Not sure what we're going to talk about. We'll talk about something, but it's a fun show. If you haven't seen the first two, come out. We have fun. We play music. We kind of just kick it. We talk about a lot of different topics, mix a little bit of cult stuff in there. You have fun and you learn at the same time, and it makes it an enjoyable experience. All right. See the topic. I got to address again. All right. Just let me say, I'll get to the chat when I'm done, but if I didn't greet you personally, infernal blessings to all. Good to see you guys all here. I'll try to get to the chat when we're done, and we'll talk. All right, got to address some ignorant shit. I have to. I keep saying we need to look at the big picture. I keep saying when you're on this path, and I ain't talking about for you guys that know what's going on, so this don't apply to you. I got to respond to sometimes people send me nonsense that I don't really care about because I'm not caught up in what's going on in the world to the fact where it affects what I'm doing. Okay, you stay aware of what's going on. You look at the bigger picture. You take inventory, and then it should dictate to you how you move. All right. But when you become a victim or a slave to that, you become a puppet and you become controlled. And there's a lot of shit going on out here now. Okay, this ignorance has gotten to a whole nother level on both sides of the coin, and I want to run through that, and then hopefully everybody is here by then. I know we could expect Brother Kevin and Sister Raven and Brother Jack. Hopefully will be calling in soon. I know Brother Tiz is here. We'll bring him in shortly. He'll add his insight. If it's not the COVID-19. All right, now all of a sudden, Spiegel, aka Tony Fauci, pops back up all of a sudden since the riot. You gotta watch how they do shit. You ain't heard nothing from this dude in weeks. Okay, everything for the last 3 to 4 weeks was these riots. Now that they're simmering down, the protesting a bit, they're still out there. Now all of a sudden Fauci wants to pop up. Now they're back on their agenda, pumping fear, right? And you got to pay attention to how they move. oh, there's a spike in increases in cases. Of course there is, because there's a lot more testing being done. You're going to see that. Oh, they fear this, they fear that. And they're naming states like Arizona, Texas, Florida, a few other states. But the one state they're not naming that opened first is Georgia. They're not telling you that their cases, they're pretty much at a steady standstill. Now, we need to figure out why that is. I'm not going to get into a whole COVID-19 lecture, but I'm just bringing that up because this intermixes with what I want to talk about. All right, so we got that back going on, and that's going to continue, obviously, for a while. And now they bring the master puppet Fauci back in, who looks like Spiegel from Lord of the Rings. And now he's back pumping his fear, okay? There's obviously an agenda here, I keep saying. And then the number one card they're using to really get up into people's emotions, which I really want to talk about, is this whole race thing, right? This is the greatest key to use to get people riled up. I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're Latino, you're Asian, whatever you are. They suck you in. And they're doing a very good job of it because of the shit that I'm hearing, seeing, and the shit people are coming back to me as comical. Let's talk about a few things, right? We talked about, and I'm not going to get into we talked about the whole George Floyd thing, the protesting. Well, this is in relation to that. So now the big thing is we got all this fake concern going on for Black Lives Matter. It's fake, okay? And stop falling for the okey doke and stop letting them distract you with their agenda and their nonsense. Okay, so let's talk about, let me just say a couple of things and I'm gonna run through it. Gone with the Wind, Paw Patrol. You're probably like, what the fuck am I talking about? The Bachelor TV show, the National Football League, NASCAR, renaming government sites. All right, let's talk about this nonsense, okay? First of all, this is what they do. They give you crumbs from the table. They just give you little crumbs. You know, it's like they ain't gonna give you a slice of the cake. They're gonna give you the little crumbs that fall to the floor, okay? So they think by pulling the movie Gone with the Wind, because it's offensive, comical, waste of fucking time. It's not gonna absolutely do nothing. And here's the funny thing. I found this one out this morning. My wife told me this. I thought this was fucking comical. The cartoon Paw Patrol. Yes, the cartoon Paw Patrol. You heard it. You heard me right. Go look this up yourself. Mind you, there's a character on there who's a policeman, and he's brown. It's a brown character. They're removing that from the cartoon because it's offensive. It's offensive. It's racist. It's hilarious. They took the show Cops, which has been on the air for decades. They removed that because it's too offensive. Look at the bullshit, okay? Then the Bachelor TV show, which I don't even watch this shit and I didn't even know. I see this, I have the New York Post app. I see this, breaking news thing come over the top this morning. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? I hit it. The Bachelor, for the first time in its 20-year history, has announced its first Black bachelor, male. Who gives a fuck? What the hell is that? What's the point of that? Again, more sympathy, more smoke screens and illusions. Okay. Then we have the National Football League, the biggest fucking hypocrites, the biggest hypocrites. Okay. I love football. I'm a huge football fan, but these motherfuckers have lost their goddamn mind. Roger Goodell comes out with this fake ass video with concern. We were wrong. Let me show you the fake. You guys got to, I'm gonna tell you what this is all leading to. You got to, don't buy the crocodile tears and the fake emotion. It's bullshit. Comes out with, yeah, we were wrong. You know, we Black lives do matter. And they should have the right to peacefully protest. Said all that, but didn't say what he should have said. Apologized to Colin Kaepernick and invite him back to the NFL if he was really sincere and the NFL was really sincere. Now, either way, I don't give a fuck. I'm just calling it for what it is. To show you it's all bullshit, that wasn't said. Then Drew Brees could have worded what he said a little different, but he had to bite back on what he said and put his tail between his legs. He could have said, look, I was raised respecting the American flag. I respect the soldiers that died for this country, et cetera, but I do respect people that have the right to peacefully protest. He could have said that, but he didn't. They jumped on him and attacked him. I would apologize too if I had to line up between 300 to 400-pound linemen and they had to protect me from getting my skull cracked open. I'd apologize too. More bullshit. NFL is phony. Today they announced, here's some more hypocritical shit. They're closing their offices on Juneteenth Day in commemoration of Black Lives Matter. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, okay? More garbage and nonsense to spoon feed you fake concern. These motherfuckers, the only thing they're concerned with is losing all the black athletes that bring in billions of dollars to their football league. That's all they care about. So they don't want to step on their toes. With no black players, you basically don't have an NFL. You could say that for majority of the sports, but we're going to focus on football because they've shown what a bunch of bumbling, foolish, fake concerned idiots that they are. It's all smoke screens. NASCAR. Now, I will say one thing NASCAR did that was pretty cool. I still think it's crocodile tears, fake emotion. NASCAR now wants to give you a crumb. They don't want to give you a whole piece of the cake, give you a crumb off the table, and they removing their Confederate flags. It's funny how you needed somebody to die to realize a lot of this shit was offensive. This is the shit that I don't understand. We had to get to this point, and that's the question that should be asked. And they're really doing it careful, and it's fake. So NASCAR removes the Confederate flag. Whoop-de-fucking-do. I did see one car though with a symbol of concern, care, unity. They had the black and white hand. Cool. They took it to another level. I'll give them a couple points for that. Still fake bullshit. All right. So they removed the Confederate flag. Then these idiots, you know, they had to get the red gremlin had to get involved. Now they want to rename government sites that are named after Confederate generals. Again, waste of time bullshit. What is this going to do to fix anything? What is this going to do to fix anything? Renaming government sites that are named after Confederate generals. All this is smoke screens. Real change comes through power. Having power gives you the ability to control and make changes. Where the change is going to come from? Let's get some Black and Latino CEOs and executives. Let's get some Supreme Court justices, some legitimate senators, people that make the bills and the laws and the rules. Okay, let's get some professors in the college teaching real history. Why are we protesting for real change? If it doesn't involve any type of power, it is not real change. I don't give a fuck about no goddamn Gone with the Wind movie, no Paw Patrol cartoon, the NFL, fuck all that shit. They can have all that shit. For all I care, it's a waste of time. It's nonsense. It's garbage. All right. And all they're doing is just, again, giving you a little crumb that falls from the master's table. My wife sent me this thing this morning. It's a case. I can't pull it up because I have the live stream going. I can send it. I'll post it. I have the pitch. I'll post it after I get off on the Instagram and the Facebook. I forgot what state it was. I don't know if I can log or I don't think I can do it. No, I'll cut the live stream. I should have pulled it up beforehand. But it was a young black male and a young white male that committed the same crime, exact crime in the same court, same state. Babe, you remember what state that was?
You want me to pull it up? It's Florida.
Yeah, let me see it. Maybe I could just show it on the screen on your phone because I have the live stream going. I can't show it. I want to just show it. And I'll flash it on the screen. Look at this shit. And this is why I say the power and the change comes in getting in. If we get people that are judges, lawyers, senators, CEOs, business execs, that's where the real change is going to come. Not from pulling Gone with the Wind off the TV. Who gives a fuck? Not by putting a black candidate on the Bachelor TV show. Who cares? I never even watched the show a day in my life. I don't give a fuck about that. Not the NFL coming out with their fake crocodile tears. All right, so this is in what state is this? Stewart, Florida, not far from here, just north of here, about an hour and some change north of here. All right, the judge is Judge Sherwood Bauer Jr., St. Lucie Courthouse in Fort Pierce, Florida. All right, and I'm going to show this on the screen after I read it. The white male's name is Chase Leitner, if I'm saying it right. Armed robbery, 19 years old. Let me show you the fuckery that they do. At 19 years old, no contest plea, 1 misdemeanor prior, total points 138.2, 2 years in county jail, 2 years, right? The black male is Lamar Lloyd. He's 2 years older, 21, same thing, no contest plea, same thing, 1 misdemeanor prior, same amount of points, 138.2, 26 years in prison. Yeah, I said that right. 26 years in prison. Let me put that shit up there so you can see it. I just want to see when it comes up. Look at that shit. The same judge, if you're trying to tell me we need to bring about some change, if we don't get judges in there that are going to do this shit correctly, this is the shit you're going to keep seeing. And pulling Gone from the Wind and taking Chase off of Paw Patrol, and the NFL coming out with their bullshit, and NASCAR removing the Confederate flag, that's not going to do anything. That's not going to do anything, okay? Here, babe, you can take your phone back. I just think, I know the thing timed out. I just think it's comical, okay? How do you give somebody armed robbery, they have the same exact record, how do you give one person 2 years and the other person 26 years? See, we got to think about change at the top, not, all right, it's cool getting out there protesting, going to the streets. That's cool. And I commend everybody for doing that. That's their stance. That's what they believe in. Power to you. But if you want to bring about real fucking change, it's not going to happen. We demand, and here's the game too. You got to understand the global agenda. You got Trump on one hand pushing to, if they defund the police, which doesn't mean eliminating the police altogether, it almost does, reforming the police, he's trying to make it look like local, state, hold on, let me bring in Jack. We got brother Jack here. I'm gonna bring, waiting for Raven and Kevin to get in, and then we'll bring the panel on and get their feedback on this in a minute. Trump is trying to make it look like the local, the state, police authorities, their governors have no control. And as we know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. If local and state can't handle their own policing issues, what's the next step, everybody? And that's what the red one's pushing for. Military police, martial law. So you got this fucker pushing for martial law. You got these fuckers that got an agenda. And then you got people directing their protests all in the wrong area. We got to start at the top. Fuck all this little shit. All that shit I just spit off is the little nonsensical shit they're trying to do to just pacify you. That's all that shit is. To pacify your emotions. And they're not, what is that? What change is any of that stuff going to bring about? Absolutely, completely nothing. All right? Nothing. And we have to be aware of that, okay? Then I want to talk about one last thing here, and we're going to get into this more. Then I got to talk about it. Then we got all these so-called conscious occult people who claim to be, and I'm just going to speak in general. It's not even worth, I'm not going to get into, it's just stuff that's been randomly sent to me. I don't get into it that deep and research it that deep. I just look at the email and I laugh. We got a bunch of conscious idiots, some claiming to be a cult. I don't know what the fuck they are, but they're not a cult. They're not left-hand path. And I told you, don't fall for that shit, because there's a lot of shit out there. People calling themselves a cult, left-hand path. It's nothing but watered down cult religion. They're basically occult Christians. That's all they are. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. We got dumbass people saying shit like the ancestors are going to get revenge. I had with the tornadoes in Orlando, anything that involves a storm or a tornado or lightning, oh, Shango and Oya are mad. You motherfuckers are so religious, okay? You people are so fucking religious. That is no different than a Christian believing that their Jesus or their God spirit spook force is going to come and fix all this. These are the same motherfuckers that claim that they're gods and goddesses, they're the original this and that, and they're spoon feeding people this watered down religious bullshit that some spirit they believe is outside of themselves called Shango or Oya is going to fix this mess for them. You motherfuckers are delusional. You're worse than Christians because you try to pump this Kool-Aid to the masses. Jack's having problems getting in, Jack. I've admitted you like 3 times, brother. But this is the other shit we got to put a stop to, okay? Because let me tell you something. These same white people that people might think are however you see them, whether you're calling them devils or the powers that be or whatever you want to call them, they push the agenda of religion, but they don't believe in it themselves. How do you think they got in power? Because they got off their ass, they took it and seized it. I don't care if they stole it, robbed, or killed for it. We're going to have to do whatever's needed, necessary to obtain power, okay? You take that for what you want. They didn't sit around and wait for Jesus. I don't care if they pumped that agenda. Your boy subliminally did it. He walked in front of the church a couple of weeks ago and lifted up the Bible, trying to say God, the country, religion, pumping that religious rhetoric into your head. They don't even believe in that shit. That man probably ain't know, he probably couldn't even rattle off 8 books in that Bible. He don't know that Bible. They don't even believe in the agenda that they push. They do it through getting off their ass, whether it's through war, whether it's through crafty intelligence, infiltrating. This is what they've done for years. I've said this before, we need to infiltrate and do the same thing. Get up into those positions and take them over. You can, look, protesting is only going to do so much. Protesting is only going to do so much. You can be out there for the next 6 years. If you're not bringing no change from the top, you're just going to be out there protesting. Demand more Black Supreme Court justices. You saw that case I just put up. That's a fucking travesty. If we don't get people that make, like I say, power is having an influence. If we don't have any positions of power, there's no influence. Fuck Going with the Wind, fuck Paw Patrol, fuck the NFL, fuck NASCAR, fuck all that shit. Okay? Because it's a waste of time. They're basically insulting you. Stop falling for the fucking okey doke and stop listening to these religious occultists / conscious / woke people who are trying to spoon feed you some bullshit like the ancestors are going to come and fix this. And I said it before. They all got the solutions now. Shango's coming, this happened, and this one did. They all know what's going on after the fucking fact. But they couldn't tell you that this was going to happen before the fact. So what power are they really connected to? It's all bullshit. It's all up in here, self-made. It's illusional. Okay? There's delusional and illusional. This shit is delusional. I ain't following nobody, because you're putting me right back in religion and Christianity. I ain't following nobody that tells me some spirit force is coming to fix this shit. Okay, the only people that's going to be able to fix this if we all get off our ass and do something about it. That's it. That's it. Because the difference of working with the spirits, whatever you want to call them, is activating that power within you and then putting it into action. We don't ever sit on our ass and wait for some miraculous miracle to come. Somebody please tell me how that differs from religion and Christianity or Islam or Judaism? Because obviously their God is not there. This chaos takes place for a reason. And it's only up to us as individuals to make order out of this shit, okay? Hold on 1 second. So, all right. Just give me 1 minute. I'll send this brother the link. All right, and then we're gonna bring some of our guests in a few minutes. So hang tight. I know we got Brother Jack here, Brother Taza here. So we'll bring them in a sec. So I got to address this. Then I'm seeing dumb shit like somebody sent me some email. I don't know where the fuck it came from. Somebody sent me some email. Yeah, they killed one of the original gods. They're gonna the ancestors are gonna seek revenge. The ancestors ain't gonna do a fucking thing. Trust me when I tell you. Trust me when I tell you. I hate to bust your bubble. The only person that's gonna do something to change this is you. So if you just keep sitting on your ass waiting for the ancestors, or you're waiting for Shango or Batala or Horus or whoever you think is going to come, you take your ass back to church, please.
You know what? I mean, just to intersect, man. I like how you said that, because a lot of people are just waiting for somebody to do something for them. Like, someone's gonna come back and fix all this. With the work we do, right? You come to the realization that like anything is possible, right? So if you really want to change the situation, you really could. But all they do, they know that they're not gonna do anything, so they just pander to your emotions. So it kind of ties into what you said. Like a lot of it is just emotions. Like they're literally just playing off your emotions, because
big time.
They're going like they're like doubling down on like pandering bullshit right now, and then people are literally just falling for the shit. Some people are like calling it out, just like the whole thing with Nancy Pelosi, and they're kneeling like for far as solidarity, but that doesn't change anything. Just kneeling and wearing a kente cloth, like, doesn't change anything, bro. So it's like,
that's true.
That's what you're saying, man. You're hitting on the head, but I think a lot of people just, just be on some bullshit, man. Straight bullshit, bro.
Right.
So,
No, you're right. And I commend the people that are, like you say, there are people calling it out, and we need to call it out. And we have to call it out because this is just, it's out of control. But what I'm trying to show here, and I'm glad you bring that up, Jack. And Brother Todd, if you got anything you want to add, interject, feel free. We're dealing with idiot spectrum on both sides, okay? We're dealing with that, and then we're dealing with these religious, so-called conscious, comedic / occultist Christians. That's all they are. And if
I like that idiot spectrum. I like that. That's a good one, man.
Yeah, they're trying to, whether they're conscious of it or not, they're trying to take us right back into faith and belief. Okay, and look, I want to make this clear. From the perspective I'm coming from, I don't care if you agree with it or not. I really couldn't care. It's irrelevant to me. I ain't gonna lose no sleep over it. Trust me when I tell you that. My whole point is you're either on this path or you're not. There's no in between. I'm tired of this. People straddling the fence, playing fucking Ifa / Santeria, and then they think they're the occult left-hand path, or they're playing Egyptian comedic, and that's fine. You can be all those things, but please do not mix it with occult left-hand path, because it's not. I don't care what you think it may be, what your interpretation of it is. Anybody knows we don't deal with any of that nonsense, okay? If you're not past it, that's cool. You're entitled to that. You can do whatever you want, but do not get mad when it's addressed. Do not get mad when it's identified, because I'll be damned if I go back into that system of mental slave indoctrination. Let me say this again. There are no ancestors coming back to help you with what's going on right now. Shango is not coming back to do anything for you. Obatala, Heru, Asset, any of these things. Okay, let me make this clear. I don't care what you believe, because if I need to challenge you on it, we can do that. I'll say, bring your proof, not your faith, not your personal faith, belief, and your theories. I'm saying, what's your cold, concrete proof other than your faith in that? Because you grasp the concept, you've accepted it, and now the problem, I have no problem with that. The problem I have is when you start to push it on the masses. That's when I got a problem. Keep that shit to yourself. If you think, and again, my simple question is, how does that differ for a Christian that believes? Yep, go ahead, brother. Oh, what was that? I thought somebody was trying to come in. All right, my bad.
Nah, but there's a piggyback on what you're saying, man. I think what the most important thing is, like, look back in history when you see people who have really tapped into, like, spiritual work or magic to get things done. You look at those type of people. It wasn't just, hey, I'm just gonna pray or do some ritual magic or light a candle.
Pray.
And
Brother, all you gotta do is pray.
No,
pray.
Some people literally did the work, but also they did the spiritual work, but also had to do the physical to coincide with it. And then that's when the results came. But a lot of people are stuck in the mindset where it's just like, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for something to happen, or I'm gonna sit here and pray for this to happen, but I'm not gonna do anything.
That's right.
No, but that's not how this shit works, man.
That's right.
I mean?
And that's an excellent point. And that's what I've said. I've said from day one, what separates all this? So how can we separate the nonsense? And this is why I say, bring your proof, and your proof is in the results. You cannot validate any results behind that way of thinking. What are we doing on this path that we're getting results in these quote unquote trying times? Well, nothing should have changed. You shouldn't be doing anything different, one, that you were doing before, okay? Two, let's be clear on this. You should have already developed a plan because you see what's going on around you. So who's the god or the goddess here taking control? You are supposed to be. You should be making financial plans. You should have taken this time with everything that's been going on with the protests and the social distance, and I want to get into all that shit, and really done a look within yourself, okay? and really realize now more than ever, you need to be self-independent. Okay. More than anything. And despite the chaos or the negativity, the death and despair they keep pumping on the TV, because they want to make it look like it's hopelessness, you can get a lot done. And as I said before, myself and others I've talked to have accomplished a lot in these last 3 months, where a lot of people, as you said, Jack, are just sitting around waiting for something to happen. No, now is not the time to sit around and wait for anything. Okay? Now is the time. If you don't see what's going on now and you ain't making adjustments to get your shit in order, I ain't waiting for no Shango or Batala, Jesus or Allah or any of that stuff. Because guess what, people? It's not coming. Nothing is coming to save you. There's nothing coming here for you. There's nothing coming here to help you. You want some help? Look at the end of your motherfucking arm. This is the helping hand you're looking for right here.
Hey, brother Big.
Yo.
I'm sorry. I was commenting. I was about to comment earlier. I had to mute myself for a second. But just on that note, I believe it was Dick Gregory that said, if the ancestors over 100 million Black lives were going to be pissed off about anything, it would be the ones that got thrown off the ships and died in the Middle Passage. If they would do something, you know, and nothing's happening. Nothing's happened since then, right? This thing's been going on. Now we're getting emotional video that's moving the sheeple on both sides.
That's right.
Right. Now something, you know, like you said, they throwing us little trinkets here and there, but really, we still don't come out and vote the way we should. You know what I mean? We still don't, like you just said, take initiative to do things financially, do things spiritually, to do things, you know, with our families, to put ourselves in better positions, in more positions of power. You know, I mean, these even on your job or in your whatever your business is, you know, you got to put yourself in a position of power to be able to make moves and change things on a micro level before you go into a macro level.
That's right. And that's important because, like I say, if we're not in those positions of power, you hit it on the head. If you're not controlling the banking system, the finance, have some position or influence of power in the financial institutions. If we're not ones on these panels like the Supreme Court justices and these magistrates that make these laws, that's where real change comes from. Not by fucking pulling Gone with the Wind and a character off a fucking card. This is all shit to pacify you. It's all a waste of fucking time. And it gets me sick to my goddamn stomach. And people send me, I had somebody send me an email like this was some great fucking achievement. And I had to email that person back, you silly, simple-minded retard, okay? I got to call it for what it is. If you really think that brings about productive change, then there's something that person's more scary to me than the straight out outright officer who carries out police brutality. That person is more dangerous because that's a simple-minded person that's going to lead you to your grave. That's not the person you want to be in the trenches with. And it shows they still have a slave mentality because they're still accepting crumbs that falls from the master's table. Well, tell them you want a whole slice of the cake. You know, it's that old saying. Well, I forgot who said that. I don't know if it was a movie or it might have been a song. You mean I can cook your food, buy the groceries, but I can't eat? Think about that for a minute. And we've been doing that for years. We've been buying the groceries, cooking the food, but we can't eat from the same table. And the shit's got to start at the top, not from the bottom. It doesn't start from the bottom up. It starts from the top on down. Those are the people calling the shots.
We accept it too. You know, like on a massive scale, most people just accept, well, this is the way it is. And you know, next time we're gonna do something, we're gonna do something more, we're gonna get in the streets and burn down more shit. You know what I mean? Like, where's the real action at? And I'm saying not the dis protesters or nothing like that, but like it's got to be something more than just going out and get mad, walking around waving signs and setting fires and, you know, craziness. You know, like where's the productive ingenuity, putting your minds together, coming together, organizing, and just like you said, from the top down, just trying to look for real change, not accepting these little small trinkets that's being thrown.
And you're right. And it's little trinkets. And
Oh,
look,
go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. You got it.
No. And what you just said was on point because it's all a distraction. It keeps you distracted from the bigger picture. Global control. It's a global agenda. They tried on June 1st, and they're still trying hard. You got to pay attention to what's going on behind the scenes. Remember, anything they show you on the surface, that's never what it is. Always understand that. Whatever they're showing you mainstream, that's the illusion. That's to keep your mind distracted. And then beneath that is what they're really doing. They've been trying since May 31st, June 1st to push this martial law. The orange one is bent on this. He wants to bring in the military. He wants to bring in military police. He's trying to let state governors cave in and say they can't police their own states. Then that gives them justification to bring in martial law. And then the other problem I got with all these people yelling, defund the police, get rid of the police. Well, motherfucker, who you gonna call when there's an emergency? I could see getting rid of the police if we have our own police in order. Who's gonna police us? We say we're policing the police, that's cool, but who's gonna police us? Because don't act like everybody amongst us has good intentions. Because there's other people amongst us that look just like you and me that want anarchy and chaos because they got some other shit on their mind. You know, they got some bigger shit on their mind that you don't even want to know. So who's going to police? And I got no argument with somebody about this the other day. You're saying fuck the police, get rid of the police. I say reform the police, yes. I say we can't get rid of all of our local and state police because we're going to have bigger anarchy and chaos. So what is the replacement plan? Then you get the dumb look because you didn't think about that because you're so caught up in your emotions, you're screaming, get rid of this, get rid of that, but you didn't have a backup plan before you're screaming to get rid of this and that. What's the backup plan? Because if somebody's breaking into your house or somebody attacks somebody in your family you ain't around, I bet your ass gonna want the police to be called. Don't front. Don't get caught up in your emotions. You can play all that tough guy, tough girl shit you want. You know damn well some shit popped off, you couldn't handle it, you'd welcome for the police to come. So stop your bullshit. Okay, and don't even front. Don't even front. I don't hear nobody front. Go ahead.
That's why I think that things that people are asking for is a bunch of bullshit, bro. Because think about it. That's for the wrong things. If you really wanted to affect change in the police force, right? Instead of defunding this police force, break up the unions. The unions is what's protecting these police officers. If you break up the union, and
that's right.
Bring more accountability. They know they don't have a backup plan to save them. If they do some reckless crap, you know, they're gonna be more on. They're gonna try to hold themselves to a higher standard of accountability. So they won't be going around doing this dumb shit. But people are like, nah, they're so caught with their emotion on this rah bullshit. They're just like, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and just defund the police. Are you serious? Some of these niggas out here is really crazy, bro.
I know that.
I'm from those areas. I look at these guys and be like, oh, this nigga is crazy. You know what I mean? I don't want them around my family. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them to defund the police station. I just want them to hold these officers to a higher standard of accountability. And plus, I think more thorough training and screening would be more effective. But just to fund the police station, like, that's dumb shit, man. Like, you're right, man. Like, it's like people are just getting stupider and stupider for the things they're asking for, bro. It's crazy.
See, you hit it on the head when you said the unions. See, that's thinking from the top, brother. See, you don't do that. You know, instead of doing that, let's just remove the cops TV show. That'll pacify their emotions. See, I'm all for reform and retraining. They need it. Okay, I'm all for that 100%. But just defunding the police altogether, no. Because I want to see you on that same stance. If you as a man, let be real and don't get caught up in your emotions. Keep it real. If you wasn't around, whether it was your wife, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, say you wasn't around to protect them. Don't call the police because you said fuck the police, defund the police. Look, let's establish this. There are a lot of bad cops out there, no doubt. That's obvious. There's a lot of crooked cops out there, but you have this in every walk of life. Okay, let's not act like, unfortunately, there are some good cops out there. Okay, regardless of your opinion on it, I know cops that I grew up with, that I went to school with. all right, firsthand. I'm sure we all know somebody. And you can't sit here and tell me every single cop in every state, on every force, everywhere in the United States is racist and they all practice police brutality. You're a complete fucking idiot, a bumbling idiot, all right? So all I'm saying is if you yelling defund, don't call 911. Like Flav said, 911 is a joke, right? Don't call it. That's not the solution. See, the thing is, I got no problem with screaming for change, but I got a problem when there's no plan. After what you're hollering for, and then I talk to you and you don't even know what the plan is after the fact. That's scary to me, because then it just shows you're acting off of raw emotion. So what is the replacement plan for the police? That's all I ask. And I got dude got all up in his emotions with me the other day, and I had to laugh at him. I'm like, why are you getting all excited? Go ahead.
I had to agree 100%. I mean, like most of us, I can say from my experience, I've been on both sides. You know, I was a young teenager out at a house party. Me and my cousin and another dude. Case of mistaken identity, we get jumped by like literally 20 dudes. I'm laying on the ground. I can't even defend myself anymore. All I'm trying to do is get a breath, and I hear a tire screech right next to my head. I was so thankful they showed up 2 white cops. Everybody, they grabbed a couple guys. Everybody else ran, but I might not be here today if it wouldn't was put up. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
In the same tone, I also have been harassed. I also have had things happen, incidents here and there.
Sure.
It's all dealing with individual people. You know, I got brothers in the lives that are cops, that are state troopers, that are sheriffs, and all of that. It's you dealing with individual people. You can't paint everything with a broad brush. Am I against racism? Absolutely. Am I against racism talking about, you know, white towards black? Yes. I'm also against racism with black going towards white, or with black going towards Spanish or Latino. You know, it's more than just one way with this thing. You know, and that's what people need to try to understand.
Right. And like we were saying, again, we have to understand the difference of getting rid of the police, defunding the police is 2 different things. Okay. And I was talking about that earlier. Defunding doesn't mean, do your research, people, please, because the same person I got into a disagreement with didn't understand the difference of getting rid of the police altogether and defunding them. He thought defunding them was getting rid of them altogether. I said, if you would just take the time to fucking research and not be up in your emotions, you would understand. Defunding just means really analyzing their funds, maybe taking some away and distributing it in other areas. So let's establish that, all right? So I asked the dude his position. Are you saying get rid of them altogether and or defund them? He said, defund them, get rid of them. I said, hold on, that's not the same thing. Because he was so fucking emotional, he didn't take his time to do his research. And he sat there getting in his 5-minute back and forth with me, getting mad at me because I said, well, hold on, defunding does not mean to get rid of them. Yes, defund them to get rid of them. I said, listen, dude, do I have to pull this shit up on Google for you? Do you need to get the definition of this shit? Okay. And this went on for a few minutes. And then obviously, you know, still up in his emotions. The conversation goes nowhere. Let's establish that. Okay. So yes, I think every police department should be analyzed. Like I know LA, California, state of California, from the research I've done, they get a bunch of money that they probably don't need. So I think you got to do the defunding on a state by state basis. And there might be other police forces out there that are probably unfunded, that they might need more funds. Let's talk about that, because I'm sure that exists and nobody's talking about that. All right.
And again, if you're talking about defunding, right? In my opinion, where is the psychological evaluations of these guys? You know, how are you showing that they're fit to be able to handle the pressure to do that job that you're asking them to do? And if you're defunding them, that means you're taking away money that can be used for that. You know, each individual department might need more money for that purpose, or other ends to that means. You know, like you can't, and we're not even talking about getting rid of them, but you know, it's improving the service that the citizens are going to get from the police department, in my opinion.
That's true. Kev, were you at the strip club over there? You got the TV.
My house.
Oh, shit. All right, so we got brother Kevin in the building. Kev, just feel free to jump in when you can. I know you
Yeah.
just popped in.
Yeah, so I've actually been listening to the video to live stream the past couple of minutes. Yeah, I mean, like, of course there are good cops, there are bad cops. Like I think it was Tyza French, mentioned it. You know, you're dealing with individuals. It's like for example, like PayPal. Some people love PayPal, some people absolutely hate PayPal.
Right.
It just depends like who you get that day, like, you know. So
that's it. And I think what Taza brought up, you know, the psychological evaluation, that's important. Now that's something maybe they want to revisit and do more often, because look, let's keep it real. Being a cop is probably one of the most stressful jobs, because they're seeing and dealing with, especially nowadays, and I'm not even talking about back in the day. Nowadays, more than ever, maybe psych evaluations need to be done more frequently. That's a form of reform. Maybe a couple times a year instead of that. I think they do them annually, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. I know, obviously, when you're in the academy, you take your psych evaluation. I don't know how often they revisit it after that. Somebody maybe can look that up. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure if it varies from state to state. I don't know how that works. But my whole point is maybe it needs to be done more frequently, because that might catch some of these cops maybe using poorer judgment. All right. But the thing is, it has to be a plan in order. This is all I'm saying. All this spooky shit, all this nonsense. We're dealing with idiot spectrum on both sides here, and you can be caught in the middle of it. And it's gotta be a practical approach to this. Okay. When I say a practical approach, what are the solutions? All right. We could sit here, talk all night about what the problems are. That's a waste of time. I don't care to do that. We know what the problems are. We don't need to revisit. Everybody's got their theory, their perspective. But the bottom line is this: regardless of your stance, your perspective on it, we all have to be able to come to some type of common ground and solution that at least everybody can work with. Is everybody going to be completely happy? No. Is everybody going to be satisfied? No, that's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. But you're going to have to give a little to get a little. And in this case, if we start getting sucked in with them pulling the Gone with the Wind movie and taking Chase off of Paw Patrol and putting a black bachelor on the Bachelor TV show, and the NFL coming out with their crocodile tears that, oh, they were wrong, Black lives do matter. Really? Somebody had to get fucking killed? And then this fool, I hate Roger Goodell. I never liked him from the jump, ever since he's been NFL commissioner. And then all he had to do, if they were sincere, I would have gave the NFL a little bit of props if they would have said, look, we apologize to Colin Kaepernick. We're going to make sure you get back in the NFL. That would at least, regardless of your stance on Kaepernick, again, I don't want to get into the problem and what your theory is. It would at least show me that they were legit. But they didn't even mention Kaepernick one time in that video. And he's caught all that heat for what the NFL now is saying is okay to do. And you couldn't even mention him. So it shows me it's fake. I don't care what anybody says, fake. I couldn't give two shits about, again, NASCAR pulling the Confederate flag, NASCAR pulling their Confederate flag. Who gives a fuck? I don't watch NASCAR anyway. I couldn't give a shit if NASCAR didn't even exist after tomorrow. But my whole point is, if you're a NASCAR fan, maybe that's a big deal to you. But I will give them I'll give them some points for that cool logo they came up with. They took it a bit further, and not just saying something rehearsed. They came up with that care, consideration, compassion, unity. All right. At least they took it. I give them a couple of points for taking it a step further. I'll give them that. All right. Removing the cops TV show is not going to stop police brutality and bring about any change. All right. Let's establish that. It's a joke, people. So what I'm saying is, don't fall for the okey doke. The change, again, has to come from the top. You want real change? We need governors. We need Supreme Court justices. I showed you that case earlier in St. Lucie County. This judge, white male, 19 years old, black male, 21 years old, charged with the same exact crime, identical police records. The white male gets 2 years in jail. How the fuck does the young black male get 26 years in jail?
That's insane.
That's insane. That's where the problem is, people. So again, this kumbaya shit, we shall overcome. And look, and then last time, if you came in late, and all the other people, the religious, conscious, occultists, whatever you call yourself, feeding people the masses, like the ancestors are going to come, like something is coming to fix this. Nothing is coming to fix this. You have to fix this yourself. I don't care what
you know what?
Yeah.
Can I? Okay. Greetings, everybody. Greetings. Hello. How y'all
Hello.
doing? This topic is so fucking exhausting. That's all I got to say. But I've been sitting here listening to you guys talk, right? And so, yeah, we know there's bad in all. There's no race that's not bad. There's no, you know what I mean? They can say it was Africans selling off other Africans. They can say it was South Americans selling off other South Americans, right? You can say a lot about systems, because in essence, it's just systems filled by people. My little humble opinion is that won't you can make reforms all day. You can defund all day, redirect funds. You can try to implement stuff. But if you don't, a song was running through my head. It's I can't think of the singer right now. It's a verse in there talking about the healing of a nation, right? In essence, that's what has to happen. It has to happen. It literally has to start at home. People have to address their internal turmoil, their internal feelings about race, right? I can tell y'all some stories right now, just like Tyza, just like Jack. I could tell y'all some stories, even some new stories, some up-to-date shit, like where my family's from right now. The KKK is still there. They just roaming through the woods. It's like this business as usual. Okay, but if people not willing to change, people, man, okay, everybody, some people work for other folks. You go to work every day, you put on a face, you wear a face, but if they're not addressing the true elephant in the room, I just don't, I just can't see it. That's just me. That's where I'm at this particular moment. I just can't see it. That's a lot of work, and that's hard work for people to face their own demons, to face their own bloodline. Because that's another thing that's starting to work my nerves too. This here ancestral talk. I'm about 10 feet over it, literally. That I'm taking that word ancestral out my goddamn vocabulary because I'm over it. What's in my bloodline? When I say, Brother B, I'm over that. Because what's in my bloodline is in my bloodline. I have Nigerian in my bloodline. I have Congo in my bloodline. I have Mali. I have Irish Scot in my bloodline. So I'm supposed to negate some part of me for another part of me? That's foolish.
Oh, you can't just bypass all that and just go straight to the African?
That's foolishness. That's foolishness. As a matter of fact.
Oh, all right.
As a matter of fact, I resonate more with that Irish shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
I thought maybe it was something I didn't know, man. You know.
I'm saying.
And
maybe
right.
Some things.
Again, to all the religious occultists and so-called conscious people who claim to be sovereign and on their own spiritual path and liberated, and then you want to turn around and feed the masses that some spirit spook force is coming. I don't care what you call it. I don't care if you call it Obatala, Heru, or whatever you call it. You're no different than a Christian spoon feeding them the faith and belief. It's the same thing. I'm sorry.
It's the same thing. I'm not, what's going to work through you is going to work through you. But I think everyone on this here path, we should understand that, and we should be the ones facing our demons first not just sugarcoating it, putting a color over it. I can tell y'all some stuff. I was telling Brother B about it earlier that, you know, I have, again, Irish Scot in me. Some of it was definitely in agreement. Okay. They was loving couples. Other stuff I have in me is aunts, cousins being chased in the woods and raped by men, white men. I that's in my DNA too. That's in my bloodline. But when you pay attention to what's in your bloodline, then you'll know how to heal and work through it. You understand? It's not about raising sand. I understand the protests. I do understand it because again, there's reforms. I done lived through a lot of stuff. I done seen a lot of stuff from a young girl that I just should have never laid eyes on. With what the police have done to people. As a matter of fact, let me tell you a quick story. I was living in the better part of town when raising my children. And my son was getting out of pocket. I think he had ran away from home or some shit. And I called the cop, report him missing. And he was a cop from the neighborhood that I grew up in. And, you know, you just get to talking to people. And he was like, you know, I had to leave there. But he didn't have to tell me why he had to leave that particular precinct. I already knew because I already had that experience from that particular precinct. So he got a cop saying, I got to get the hell up out them. Look, I can't do what they do. I can't act to behave like that. That says a lot to the pathology of these people in places of power or individuals that can place themselves in power. Ty's is right. You can't unless you get and Brother B is right. Until we can get people of sound mind and body into those particular positions, reform, defund. I think it's still going to go out the window until you can then get those people in place and then make the change. Trying to do it in the reverse is that's a cloak and veil to me. That's how I see it. It'll just cause them to find a different way to do what they want to do anyways. My 2 cents.
No, yeah, that's true. And look, I'm trying to see if I could, but that's good points.
I think a part of it is just human psychology as well. Like if you look at the Stanford prison experiment, just regular people became terrible like prison guards. And you guys remember that experiment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, when you're put in a place of power, some people will abuse that power. I know I've seen cops drive like weaving through traffic for no reason, but if I do the same thing, I'll get a reckless driving charge, and I'll go to jail for the night. All that,
Facts.
There's a double standard, of course. But I do think part of it is human psychology, because when you're put in place of power, many people will abuse that power.
Yeah, and it's true. And see, that's what I'm saying. When you have, let's get Jack back in here. When you have a plan in order and you're starting from the top, right? Nobody's really discussing these things because we're getting too distracted with all the emotional shit that they're pulling. And again, for those that do see this and for those that are speaking up, I commend them. All right. So I'm not talking about us, and I would hope the majority of us here, we know this is going on. So this is not so much for us. For the people that are caught up in their emotions, and again, not having any plan of action, that is a problem. Okay. That is a serious problem, because again, if we don't have people in positions of power that make influential decisions, and I mean influential the correct way, not in a corrupt way, and nothing's perfect. Let's establish that. And I get that. But this is where real change starts to come about, because you see, how can you identify where reform needs to be if you're not in the position to see it in the right frame of mind? That's my whole point. Okay, because Jack mentioned earlier about the unions. That's a good point, because if you take away, we all know what unions are in the workforce, whether it's the police, whether it's carpenters union, electrical or electricians union. You know, when you have a union backing you, you know you can get away with a lot more shit you normally couldn't get away with. Like if you've ever been part of a union, I've been part of 2 of them in the workforce. You could basically tell your boss to go fuck themselves and they really can't fire you. Not anyway, right there on the spot. You could do and say and get away with a lot of things. Well, the Police Benevolence Association, if you're familiar with the PBA, this is why Jack brought up a good point earlier. This is why they're able to kind of stretch that limit, because they got union backing them. Now, maybe that should be maybe part of the reforms. Can the union step in for them? Maybe the union shouldn't be able to step in for them when it comes to a police brutality case. We're not talking about regular work-related issues. Maybe that's something that should be in sole control of the, well, that may not help either, because the legal and the judicial, that's corrupt too. So you got to look at this from both angles, because you're dealing with, it starts from the top. If we don't have people in those positions of power that make decisions, nothing changes. And again, it's not to knock the protesters, power to you. That's your thing. And you're out there humping it, great. But that's only going to do so much. Okay. And then here's the reality is, when things start to get back to normal, and you got to remember, people are out there now because most people are not working right now. What happens, just like everything else, when the shit calms down, is this going to be a memory a year from now? Are people going to get right back into doing the shit that they normally did and just forget about it? Because then it's pointless. This is my whole point. What is the long-term plan? It starts with what we're talking about here, because these are the things that are going to bring about change. So we got to, the next thing is we say change. What is change? That's the next thing I want to know. And economics is a big, big part of that. And nobody wants to really talk about economics. Okay. And education. Okay. So what I'm saying is it's bigger than just police brutality, because maybe a lot of people wouldn't be in these situations if there was equal opportunity in economics and education and the labor force. Okay. Because all that is tied in. We want to act like that's not the problem. And see, again, that's the okey doke. That's the distraction. They want you just looking, it's bigger than police brutality and racism. They're using that as the tool. But what I'm trying to say is there's got to be a big plan for change. If we're talking about equality and not this fake ass equality that they're trying to shove down our throat with all this nonsense they're doing now, with all the shit we talked about, NFL and NASCAR and all that nonsense and Gone with the Wind and all that stupidity, that's pacifying your emotions. I think people should be highly insulted by that, because that stuff is going to do absolutely nothing. That is just smoke screens and illusions.
It's for business.
Yeah. Who was that? Somebody wanted to talk?
No, but yeah, it's just for business. It's, because people will say, oh, how come you're not saying anything? Like, I think they did it to Kendall Jenner or one of those people, like because she didn't say anything about the riots or anything like that, and they caused an uproar about that. So if the NFL were to do nothing, they would say, oh, because you're not saying anything, protest the NFL or whatever. So like they just do that to cover their asses. It does nothing, like you said, it does nothing.
Ain't nobody protesting the NFL. They'll all be watching them football games when they come back on.
Yeah, it's kind of like the airlines that when they have an incident, they'll say, protest Spirit Airlines. But if they go on orbits and Spirit Airlines is the cheapest one, they're buying that one.
Thank you. See, again, it's just not.
So at the end of the day, you're saying that all this comes down to money, right? Pretty much just a dollar. So
big time. Money is the foundation of all this. Money is power. Whoever's got money has power. I don't look, and please, nobody gets spooky and spiritual with me. And money is the root of all evil. As long as you got the ancestors, you don't need to save all that religious shit. If you're cool with that, whatever. That just doesn't work in a reality-based world. Okay? Because as I said before, I've been saying this for years. life's problems, most people who have problems in life, majority of their problems, I'm going to say 75 to 80% of them can be fixed by a steady income. Trust me when I tell you that. Think about all the bitter people you meet. Think about all the people you meet in disarray. And I guarantee you, if you are honest with yourself, you would say a large percentage of the reason why they're like that is because they don't have no money. So this, yes, this needs to be addressed. If we're going to have equal opportunity, then economics and finances cannot be thrown off the table. Because if people don't have the access to the same money, power, and ability to become as successful as they need to be, how can you have reform in the justice system, in the police department, in law and order and all this shit, when people are already in a different mind state where some are feeling less entitled to others? How do you address that? You address that with finances, economics, and education. See, this is shit that nobody wants to talk about. So you can make all the reforms and the changes you want, but if society is not reflecting that, and think about this, man. Look, we all see this wherever state we live in, right? I don't care if it's New York. I don't care if it's Atlanta. I don't care if it's Miami. I don't care where it is. It's a thin line, and you see this with your eyes daily. When you cross the line of being in a middle class or well-to-do neighborhood into a hood, the ghetto, or poverty. How many of you have ever been driving? You know your cities where you just go through a traffic light or cross a certain parameter, and all of a sudden it's like you went from night to day. It changed drastically. How can that be visually right in front of us where there's such a thin line? If the government has all this money to put into fixing roads in certain neighborhoods, fixing the landscape, keeping buildings up to code, why is that not done in what we call hoods and ghettos? Why is it when we cross that line, all of a sudden the buildings are looking raggedy as shit? The landscape looks like shit. Liquor store and a church on every damn corner. Thugs hanging out. How can it be such a thin veil? Because it's real simple. It's because there's no money being pumped into that community or neighborhood, and then all the money is going into this neighborhood or community. And we accept it. You understand? And this is why, if none of that stuff changes, you can do all the reform you want in the police department, okay? It's not going to bring about any change because you still got people out there with the same mindset. And now a bigger problem we're going to have, think about this now. Who's going to really want to be a police officer now? You thought it was bad before. So think about this now. Who wants to be a cop now? Because now some of the reform, let me look, all right, it's different if you got 4 cops on the scene like they did with George Floyd. They had him contained. There was no need for that chokehold. What about a cop that just gets outright attacked? You think he's got to worry about, he's by himself, he gets attacked. You think he needs to worry about if he's going to do a chokehold or not? I know I'm just going to do whatever I got to do to survive. That's just human instinct. So now you can't have a guy in a life or a man or woman, police officer in a life or death situation where they got to make a decision on the moment. I'm talking about you got a split second. You don't have time to think, is it right? Should I got to be careful. I don't want to do a chokehold. It's not going to work. They have to come up with something else. It's not going to work. Because now you're going to have a hard time recruiting police officers. So again, what is the backup plan? For all the people that are saying get rid of the police, what's your plan? Who's going to police? And don't say ourselves, because it's that old saying, somebody got to police the police. We need somebody to establish not constructed order, but to keep things within reason. Who's going to do that? And nobody has an answer for that.
That has to be checks and balances.
That has to be.
I mean, look at firefighters. I know firefighters, and they don't deal with a lot of, guns and being pulled over and stuff like that. But they have a stressful job where it's murder, death, homicide they see every day, and it affects them. It affects them long term. And the longer they do it, every single day they go, it changes for some of them, it changes who they are. And if you don't have those checks and balances in place, you know, it turns these people into different people. And fortunately, firefighters don't carry guns, but you know,
Yeah, no,
it has
that's
to be
true.
checks and balance.
That is true. And like I say, one of my closest friends who passed away a little bit over a year ago, he was a firefighter, and that's a big brotherhood, and that's tapping into a whole nother level. I know that's different from what we're talking about here. They're not the problem, but you're right. You bring up that point, and it correlates well. That's true. All right. Let's go through the chat. Let's see what comments and questions we have through the chat. Let's roll through that. I think we kind of nailed the point home. I think you see. All I'm trying to say is, look, people, you got to be proactive. Stop reacting. Stop letting these people suck you in to your emotion. Do your research. Again, don't get into an argument with somebody and you don't know the difference between defunding the police and getting rid of the police. That's comical to me. And all it does is confirm everything I'm saying, that you're emotional and you react and you don't do your research. All right, so let's establish that again. Defunding the police is not getting rid of the police. It means evaluating the funding that goes to them. And if they're getting an excess of funding, then maybe take that money and apply it to somewhere else in your state. And I believe the defunding should be on a case-by-case basis. Because as I said, I'm sure you could probably find some police forces in probably some smaller towns that are underfunded. So that's got to work both ways. So maybe you can there might be in a big state like California, where maybe the big metro police departments or the big city departments have an excess of money, and there might be that little small ass town in the middle of nowhere that's using out-of-date equipment, or maybe doesn't have the necessary force or manpower, whatever that money could go to hiring more people, more training, advanced equipment, whatever it may be. All that shit needs to be evaluated. It's bigger than just getting out there yelling, hooting and hollering and screaming. But please know the difference between the two, okay? Before you start an argument with somebody, it just shows your lack of ignorance, and it just shows that you don't know what you're talking about. All right. What else we got?
And I'll say, I think you said it earlier, I'll say you can start looking through the chat. I'll say that everybody needs to definitely, sit back and really look and see what is going on. And they need to definitely start. This is, it was this time last year, a similar incident happened. It didn't pop off right. And it seems like it's something behind the next. It's like something's trying to keep you off your square. And
Right.
you guys need to really stay on point with that and shore up. Definitely shore up your family. I just feel like this is not the end.
No. I mean, again, what is the beginning and what is the end? It's the same thing. Okay. There's Alpha and Omega we always hear about in the Bible. It's the same thing. The beginning and the end is the same thing. There is, and me and my wife just finished watching a series on Netflix called Dark. And if you guys haven't seen that, I would suggest look it up and watch it. Okay. It talks about everything we talk about on this path, about time being an illusion. There's no such thing as linear time. Once you break the concept of linear time, you understand the beginning is the end is the beginning. And I found it interesting, in addition to, there's two books they use in there. The Kabbalion is one of them, which I found very interesting. They show it in there, the 7 Hermetic Principles of Tahuti, as one of the key books. And I keep trying to tell you guys, time is a big factor in being in a state of confusion or accepting the illusion of it, okay? Now, linear time is only real to a certain point when you are grounded in the objective, yes. But vibrating out of three-dimensional person, place, or thing, linear time doesn't exist, okay? They know this, so they always keep us trapped by time. So again, I've always posed the question for years, what is the beginning and the end? It's really the same thing. The beginning is the end and the end is the beginning. So it's something we call cycles, and we're going through a cycle right now. And like Raven said, it's not the end. This is just you're living in a day and time where the cycle is getting ready to transition from one phase to another. We just happen to be here witnessing it. You understand? We're alive as we're seeing it happen. Nature is changing. Human consciousness is changing. All these things are happening simultaneously, and we just happen to be here. We're a part of it, not just witnessing it. We're actually a full part of it. So we have to understand that. And this is why when I'm saying when we're looking at the bigger picture, it's bigger than just the shit that we see going on the surface. Okay. All right. So again, if I didn't greet you individually, infernal blessings, to skip that, just looking for questions. What else we got? Where we at?
Yeah.
Mavi, you in Georgia now? Okay. You living in Georgia or you just in Georgia? And Duma brings up a good point. If you don't know the history, it's doomed to be repeated. True indeed. What else we got? I see no questions, just comments. Now, like I say, all right, so Spirit Driven says, all right, the ancestors have shown us how to make change. They are present. Ashe to the ancestors. Well, if you yourself can carry out that change, I have no problem with that. But the ancestors ain't going to do it for you. And I don't think that's what you're saying. I hope that's not what you're saying, because that, again, then we're back to religion. But yes, if you communicate with your ancestors and you're giving the know-how to carry it out yourself, that's one thing. But praying to them, that is no different than religion. Hoping that something or somebody's going to intervene, it's no different than religion. And that's what we can't fall for that either, because that creates a certain mindset where we're not going to be as motivated to get off our ass and do something for ourselves. So it just depends on what perspective we're coming from.
Did you see those videos of cops planting piles of bricks?
Which video?
I saw some videos on Instagram of like it's cops like basically putting bricks in the middle of the street. So when the riders come, it just happens to be there. And I heard theories. It's like it's to bring on martial law or something like that. I don't know. Like for me, I don't really pay attention to the news. It just drives you crazy. Like okay, for a couple months we had coronavirus. Now we have these riots. I mean, what's next? Like there's always another flavor of the week. To get your blood pressure up and just to get you upset.
They do.
I mean, I'm not gonna say like there isn't racism, especially among like police brutality, but I feel like the media has blown it out of proportion. Like times a billion. I don't know. Like I really feel like these kind of stories like are just there to infuriate you, to fight, to make you fight with your friends, to divide people. But again, like I'm not denying like there isn't a problem there, but I feel like it's definitely there to distract you as well.
Oh yeah, and that's what that's the whole purpose of it. Because even before all this popped off, you go back to old videos from years ago. I've been saying this from day one. That's their job. If they can get into your emotions through fear, they can control you, right? And you bring up, like you said, the coronavirus, right?
Yeah, what happened to that?
Well, they're slowly trying to bring it back because, like I said, the little dwarf Spiegel from Harry Potter, Anthony Fauci is back now all of a sudden all over the news. Because now they said, look, okay, the protesting simmering down a little bit, we got to still pump, like you said. We got to keep pumping more fear into the masses, right? And then they keep pumping these spiking cases, and they keep mentioning places like, I said this earlier, if people came on late, they keep pumping places like they're saying Arizona, Texas, Florida, and they're saying 19 states, but they keep mentioning those three. But the one state they don't mention who opened up first on April 24th was Georgia. And Georgia's not seeing that consistent spike. So now my question is why? Why ain't they going, well, look, let's look at Georgia and figure out what is it they're doing?
But also, I think the CDC came out a couple of days ago and said, oh, it's very hard to contract coronavirus by touching surfaces.
Right.
And they say, oh, if a buddy of yours is showing no symptoms, it's very hard to contract the virus from them too, which is the complete opposite of what they said before. So it's like, you know, for me at the end of the day, I don't pay attention to the news. Like it's to me it's just bullshit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Every day they keep changing and you don't know what to believe anymore. But that's all part of the confusion.
Yeah.
Keep that confusion out there. It was the same thing with the masks. Don't wear the mask. They're actually more damaged. Then it was, oh man, you need to be wearing masks everywhere you go. Again, if you educate yourself, all you gotta do is do the research. Look, you wear a mask where you're supposed to go because you can't get in there. But we know that could actually be more harmful. I talked about how that can distort your breathing. It could actually create more illnesses. It gets the nervous system more pumped up and it becomes harder to breathe with that thing on sometimes.
Yeah.
And this is all part of the plan. The social distancing, all this shit that they're programming and preparing people for is all part of that global control, right? Keep 6 feet apart. They do that in the military when they have them on RF satellite. Now, whether this is leading up to a vaccine with the RF chip in it, we don't know that. I know a lot of people are saying that. It could be saying that the chip, determines if you've been vaccinated or not, and you're marked. Who knows? A lot of things can happen and a lot of things cannot happen. But I do believe this is all part of systematic control and they're conditioning us for something bigger. Okay? Gotta look at the bigger picture of this. Okay?
The bottom line for me is, like both of your points on staying away from the news. I try to stay away from the news as much as possible.
That's right.
Because it's all to keep you in that fight or flight state of mind. And if you're fearful or you're angry, you're not thinking straight. And just like he said, if you watch something on the news, now you go to work and you're arguing back and forth with your coworkers and you're on Facebook arguing with people. And I mean, it's the amount of different people I've talked to that have been in all kinds of arguments, whether face to face or on social media, since all this stuff started, is crazy to me. And you can't, if you live in your emotions, you can't see it. And it not only is it unhealthy for you, it just keeps you blinded. It keeps you distracted. It keeps you out of the loop of what really you really need to be paying attention to.
That's right.
That's I saw it when Trump ran for president because there was these two kids who were best friends their entire life, and then one was Democrat, one was for Trump, and they stopped being friends just because of that.
It's stupid. Look, man. Look. All I can tell you is, if you look at the bigger picture, and that is really stupid, by the way. All I can tell you is if you look at the bigger picture of everything that we're talking about, it starts with, we always say step one, knowledge of self and having the information. Because if you educate yourself, that's step one. You can't proceed any further if you don't have the information and the education. Because then you're just, again, like Taza said, you're just acting off a raw emotion. So we have to be careful with that, but those are good points. Kate Mama says, somebody really said Shango's coming? Yes. I have people send me emails and send me clips of other shit on YouTube. It's just ridiculous. Somebody, I don't know where they're getting this shit from. I mean, I looked through it quick, so I just deleted it. It's just like, some people send it from because they know I'll get a kick out of it. Then I really have some people who contact me and think I really give two shits because, I just get like a headache talking about it and I get nauseous and I almost want to vomit because it's just worse than religious people. Okay, let me say this again. Jesus is not coming, okay? Allah, Jehovah, Shango, Obatala, Horus, Amun-Ra. Okay, those are archetypes. They exist within you. You need to access the energy they represent and their power within you. If you believe that any of those aforementioned archetypes are coming in some external form, then you might as well just take your ass back to church. Just save yourself the headache, get in the pews, Get on your knees, look up in the sky and pray to some spook god that doesn't exist. It's no different. I don't care how you sell it. I don't care how you package it. I don't care what you call it or what you've convinced yourself it is. I'm telling you what it's not. And I'm telling you, if that works for you, that's fine. But don't get mad when there's a large group of us who that does not work for. Okay, that does not work for us. Not anybody that's truly on the left-hand path. That's something from day one we're trying to move away from, because that's why we're in the situation we're in now, because it's those types of systems of indoctrination that keep us dumbed down, that keep us asleep, that keep us not seeing the bigger picture and seeing what's going on, because we're still being pumped with this pie in the sky and some reward later, and somebody else is going to intervene on our behalf and fix the mess for us. That's lazy, stupid people's mentality. Okay.
Do you think that, so there's obviously like, so the masses are obviously, just a bunch of sheep. Do you think that stems to the school system not really teaching or not really fostering an environment for critical thinking? Because like most people on this path are critical thinkers. Like they're contrarians. Like they always look if something's popular, they want to be on the other side.
Yeah. I think that's an excellent point, and that's something I think that needs to be addressed, because it starts from elementary all the way up to the middle, junior high school level, and then in the college they call it a university, but you ain't learned nothing about the universe. What do you really learn?
I say it's twofold. They can show you, but I think because I say it's twofold because I'm inner city, right? So I went to inner city schools. But I am a critical thinker. I have always been a critical thinker because I know how to be quiet and silent. So I think it's twofold. Yeah, you can get some of that from schools, but I think it has to be almost innate in you to fully be. That's what I just think. No
doubt. But you're right. It has to be in you. But then there are others that learn or grasp. It takes them longer to grasp, and sometimes they need to hear it or be sparked from somebody outside themselves. You're right. I do think it needs to be in you to a degree, but I look at it this way. I use that so everybody can understand what I'm saying. Look at it that's somebody that plays sports. There's some that just have natural athletic ability. They don't really need to put a lot of effort in, and they're just superstars. Then you have some who they need more instruction, more training, and then they can become that same level, but they just don't have that same gift. So I believe you're right. It's true to an extent. Some has to be naturally there, but I do think it does on external. It does start. I think Kevin brings up a good point. I think they do need to restructure a lot of the educational system.
Most definitely.
You're right.
I kind of agree with that, because I think education first begins in the home, right? I think if you look at how things are structured now, and just how we a lot of people just willy-nilly as far as like family structure, right? I think that a lot of these things as far as critical thinking skills we learn at home from an early age, facts over emotions, what I'm saying? I mean, facts, right? A logic over emotions, something could be taught in the home. I think a lot of it starts at home. I think if you want to gain true power, right, it all starts with the family first, and then
no doubt
it goes out from there. But if you kind of relying on the educational system, you're relying on the government to.
No, you're right. You
get what I'm saying, right?
No, you're right.
Got you, Jack.
But what I'm trying to say is, well, not me. What Kevin was trying to say is, when we look at as a whole, of course, it always starts with us as parents, no doubt, because you still got to do your duty. You got to instruct them the right way. They well, to an extent, they belong to you. They're your seed. But I'm not talking about us outside of ourselves. We know that, obviously, being on this path. I'm saying when we look at the condition of society and what's going on, quote unquote, out there, that definitely needs to be looked at and reevaluated. I'm not saying it's going to fix everything, but it can contribute to a lot of the ignorance that's going on in society. But by all means, we're responsible, for our own children. Well, to a degree, we can only instruct them, obviously, whatever they decide to do when they get older. As long as we did our part, whatever path they choose, that's on them. But most definitely, It starts obviously in the home first, but I think what Kevin was saying, and if I'm wrong, Kevin, correct me, just when we look at the curriculum of the school system right now, that needs to be changed.
Yeah, because so we're supposed to question everything, but in school we're kind of taught not to because the teacher doesn't want to hear your bullshit. Like, just do your homework and you bring it back the next day, and like it's like, yeah,
Right.
it's meant to create zombies basically.
But even look at but even look at the outdated nonsense of Christopher Columbus discovering America. Come on, really?
Yeah.
We're still teaching that in 2020. I think that's the stuff I'm talking about. This is what all that stuff, the curriculum needs to be reevaluated. Because and then let me ask you this. Look at the shit we think about some of the subjects you took in high school that actually play no practical use in your everyday life. Think about it. When are you going to actually, in your lifetime, some of the stuff you might have learned, let's take certain math. I understand the basic fractions, addition, subtraction, multiplication, but when are you really going to use, unless you're an engineer or unless you're a scientist, there's certain forms of math you probably will never use in your entire life, okay? Social studies, American history, right? Those are curriculums that definitely need to be reevaluated, okay?
How about supreme mathematics, brother? Supreme mathematics.
Well, that's different, my brother. That's different, my brother. Right? Salam alaikum, brother. Salam alaikum. That's different. But yes, I understand. And you guys both, everybody brings their correct points. It does start at home, 100%. I agree with what Raven said. You got to have it in you to an extent. But for the masses and mainstream society, I understand what Kevin's point was too. So just as long as we establish there's different layers to that.
No, I agree. I think he's right on. I concur what he said on that because again, I think they do want people to kind of just follow what we say. They want people to be sheeps, right? And you kind of look at society. If they build a society built around building more, alpha males and more guys who are people just free thinkers, people won't go for half the shit that they're doing to people right now. So I think that what Kevin's saying is right. There's literally is a agenda to make everybody soft, make people not free thinkers, think inside the box and the outside. So I agree too, man.
Yeah, because like when you think about it, the people who were like the kids who were free thinkers were the ones who always got in trouble. Like I always got in trouble. And I actually like now that I think about it, now that I think about it, I don't really think I learned anything new past maybe 5th grade.
That's right.
Like I like everything else was just like memorization and regurgitation, and I forget it. And I never have to use it again.
That's it, because that's what it is. It's to prep you. It's constant regurgitation. It's just the same thing, but packaged a little different. And this continues on. Because what do they tell you? Basically, what is it? Is it your sophomore year, junior year is the key year they look at your transcripts for college? They don't really care about it. Is it sophomore or junior?
Junior year.
Junior year. Okay. So again, this whole structure and then the criteria to get in, you understand, is ridiculous at some of these universities because some of those criteria are racist in itself. You understand? So look, good points, but yeah.
Let me ask you a question, man. Like, okay, you're seeing a lot of things, you're a wise
brother. My brother. My brother.
You're a wise brother. You're seeing a lot of things. Like, how do you think things are gonna play out, man? Because shit's all crazy right now. So how do you think it's gonna play out from your wisdom?
All right, one, I'd be lying to you if I told you I 100% knew, but I can give you what I'm seeing. And remember, one concept we always accept on this path: things are always susceptible to change if we influence that change. So keep that in mind. Now, so I say that to say, if things continue the way they're continuing now, I can easily tell you where this is headed for martial law and global control and the full reset of the economy. And I think this is what their big term goal is. When we look outside of the coronavirus, when we look outside of the protesting, when we look outside of the police injustice, I believe these are all greater distractions for their bigger goal, which is complete global control. And in order for them to do that, I believe they're using the coronavirus. Again, I'm to everybody listening or everybody that watches this later, I am not telling you to accept this. I'm answering Jack's question. This is my personal perspective on that. So I want to be clear. I'm not going to do like other platforms do and jam my opinion down your throat and have you co-sign on it. So I want to make that clear before I continue.
You're not gonna tell us. You're not gonna tell us. You're not gonna tell us. Or you can't hear you and saying that.
Yeah. I got downloads. The ancestors gave me downloads. That's the other, that's the other hot ticket in the occult religious community. No, but I'm answering Jack's question. It's a good question. But if we keep, so I'm gonna give you both edges of it, two sides of the coin. That's how Arnold Schwarzenegger imitation.
Put that cookie down.
People need air.
So yeah, if this shit continues at this rate, I believe this is their bigger goal. And the coronavirus, all these distractions, like Kevin said, there's always he hit it on the head. There's always a new flavor of the week. He couldn't have put it a better way. All to keep you distracted from what's really going on. What's the purpose of resetting the economy? To wipe out the national debt, to take the strain off the healthcare system by killing the elderly. Okay, by introducing this new, whether you believe it's cryptocurrency, I don't care what it is. We should have saw this coming years ago when they introduced the euro dollar, when most of the European nations united under one currency, majority of them. They were trying to tell us then what they were getting ready to do, but nobody was paying attention. So I believe now we're at that stage here in this country where I believe it's being confirmed with Trump keeps suggesting with wanting to bring the military in. I believe they don't want us to think for ourselves. I believe they want to make all the choices for us. They want to know everything we do, our habits and behaviors, and what better way to do that than to reset the economy, chip everybody, start everybody from scratch, okay? And everybody's got a clean slate, but it works in their favor because it eliminates the national debt. And then people that get that opportunity say they have good credit and money, they're not gonna know how to handle that. And they're gonna go back out and do the same shit, piss their money away, buy shit they can't afford, and put themselves right back in debt while stimulating their new global currency. And then we now thought we didn't have middle class before. I believe you either, I said years ago, go back to old videos. I've been talking about this for over 15 years. You're gonna either have people that have money or don't. Ain't gonna be no more. Middle class is pretty much obsolete now. You're either gonna have money or you're not, okay? And if you're not part of this global tracking system, you wouldn't even be able to give a bum on the street $5. We talked about that. Because you ain't gonna be able to account for it, where you're gonna get it and how you're gonna give it and how they're gonna receive it. So I think
China has that.
Say it again.
I think China has that. It's kind of like a social credit score, and
Yeah.
like if you're jaywalking, like they can debit the money from your account immediately.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just to control all facets of our life through global tracking, and economics is a part of it. Because what do we need to survive? Economics, money. You need money to eat. You need, for food, clothing, and shelter, you need finances. So if they can control every aspect of finances, they can control every aspect of you. Okay? See, we got to look at the bigger picture. But in order to keep people distracted, they create all of this possible anarchy, all of this shit that you see going on, where the people who are really stupid and asleep say, "Oh yeah, we can't police ourselves. We need to bring in martial law," and then that's where that comes into play. That's one way. Now the flip side to that is the only way that can change is if everything we're talking about today. People get up off their ass and they start doing stuff. Change starts at the top. So we have the ability. I don't want to paint the picture of hopelessness and despair, but I definitely don't want to paint the picture that there's some spooky spirit force that's going to come do it for us. I definitely don't agree with that. And that's even more dangerous than some of the shit you see going on, because that creates a certain mentality. So we have the ability to get into certain positions of power, to bring about certain levels or degrees of change. Then we can change the narrative. And that's going to force certain things to start shifting away from what their agenda is. That's the only way it's going to change.
So one thing I want to say real quick is I am actually shocked and pleasantly surprised that people actually gathered together and protested, like all around the nation and the world too. Because like I've always thought that society as a whole was like too much of a pussy society to get together and question whatever. But I mean, the fact that because there's power in numbers, like, so all the unions and all that, like, it's power in numbers, and the fact that citizens got together in such large numbers is a good sign.
Right.
Now, but yeah, I'm actually surprised that happened around the country.
We talked about that a week or so ago. Remember, they should have been a little more selective when they made this happen. Part of the reason for that, not all of it, is you got to remember there's a lot of people out of work right now. They got the time to do this. You understand? And I'm not saying that that's the only reason why they're doing it, but you're right. They picked the wrong time to stir up shit because people have the time to be out there day and night right now. Majority of people.
And yeah, like that's a huge point, because I don't think there would be half the people in the streets if they're working right now.
No. And I'm not saying everybody out there protesting isn't working. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there protesting that work, go to their job, and then come out and protest. So let me make that clear. But I'm saying, I guarantee you, if we broke that down in a percentage, I would almost say probably close to 70 to 75% of the people out there protesting probably are not working right now. So they have the ability to be out there. And I talked about that about a week or so ago. That's what gives this a little bit more different, a feel to it, because they're staying on it. But again, we gotta do all the things that we talked about earlier, or it's pointless. So that's kind of the answer to your question, Jack. Hopefully that kind of helps.
And I'll add to that too. Don't forget, don't negate what's world politics. So don't negate who we in bed with when it comes to what's going on over there in Asia. There's a lot happening between North and South Korea, and there's a lot going on with Taiwan and China. So that's something to take a look at too. I've been watching that. Some decisions gonna have to get made if it get any hotter than what it's starting to cook up over there. So, so yeah.
Brother B, I'm gonna go back to something I heard you say after the election, or before the election maybe, about Donald Trump. You need that forest fire comes to restart everything, to bring the new forest in, and so this may be a necessary, although it's being, we all realize is being orchestrated in some way, but it may be a necessary evil, that needs to happen, for things to actually change.
Listen, I'm glad you bring that up, because when you look at the election, and same thing you're going to see this year, hopefully it doesn't work. Go back and you look at the 2016 election. Okay. We got to understand now basic information. We know the popular vote doesn't win the presidency, right? We all know this. I hope we all know this. We know the states are broken down, and each state has an X amount of electoral college votes. So when we look at the election, and I still think he needed Russia to influence him, but the whole point is he did not win the popular vote. He lost that to Hillary Clinton. What he did win was the electoral college. Remember, you win the presidency you don't have to win the popular vote. And I think some people keep losing sight of that. All you have to do is win the most electoral college votes and you win the presidency. And that can be easily done without winning the popular vote.
It's called being selected, not elected.
Yeah, thank you. And any good strategist, and remember, I said this, go back and watch some old videos. Trump campaigned like he was running a business. This is why he attacked all the white collar states like Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, Iowa. He attacked states that had a large amount of electoral college votes, where Hillary was spending too much time trying to cater to a lot of the urban areas and the big states in the Northeast. See, Trump, that was never his focus from jump. Now, whether he got influenced by that, whether the Russian government tampered with the voting, it looks like there's evidence of that. Do we know for sure? Who knows? But we hopefully have learned from this, and hopefully Joe Biden scares me a little bit. He's not the sharpest. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but hopefully he's tacking it from that perspective. So you got to look at, if you're Joe Biden, let's keep it real. He's more than likely either going to have the mayor from Atlanta as his vice president running mate. I'm almost 90% sure it's a black female. It's definitely female, but I'm sure he's going to run. It's either the mayor from Atlanta or Kamala Harris from California, for sure. I'm telling you right now. Those are one of the two that'll be his vice president running mate. So he's got the black vote wrapped up, hands down, 90%. He needs to focus on them white collar states. Now that's a whole nother challenge. How he's going to do that with a lot of these ignorant ass Trump supporters, that's a whole beast to tackle itself. But that's where the concern comes in. So we can't fall and sip the Kool-Aid again. Even though you see all the crazy shit going on, right? The average person is going to go, there's no way Trump could win again. Well, be careful, okay? Be careful, because this man started politicking and campaigning long before this coronavirus shit started happening. He's been in campaign mode during the coronavirus. He's been in campaign mode during all this rioting and protesting. And he's already stirring the emotions up of these right-wing liberals and conservatives, not liberals, conservatives. And that was his whole game with holding the Bible up, standing in front of the Episcopal Church, right? That was to speak to his good old boy evangelical voters and supporters, okay? He knows what he's doing. Remember, don't get sucked into the dumb shit you see him do on the surface, because you could scratch your head and go, what the fuck? But this man is a businessman. He's not your traditional Washington, D.C. politician. He doesn't operate like that. He thinks he's on The Apprentice show. He thinks he's running a business. This is what this man thinks. He's treating it as such. So you got to understand that when you see all the crazy shit pop off. This is why you shake your head and you go, holy shit, did he just do that? Did he just say that? Those people that don't see the bigger picture say that. I look at it and I go, God damn, this motherfucker is slick as hell. He knows.
He's tapping into fear and anger of his supporters, and that's all it takes to motivate.
Exactly. And keep that in mind when voting time comes. It's what he did the first time around, and he's definitely going to have to depend on that this time around, because he's definitely not going to get the black vote. He's definitely not going to get a lot of support in big cities in the Northeast and urban areas. So he's in the hole out the gate. So he's going to rely on them states like Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, et cetera, because he knows he's going to really need the electoral vote more than ever this year. So we need to understand that moving forward. Okay. All right. What else we got? Good comment by Gage. You got to be the vehicle for the change in the physical. That's right. For anything to change in the physical, you got to be the vehicle, 100%. Brother, shout out to Monte Mercury. I don't know if you're still here, brother. We're going to get you back on the 3rd. He says everybody looking for a savior instead of saving themselves. Enough said. That's the shit that I'm talking about. I'm tired of being spoon-fed. Man, listen, I'm so sick and tired of just staying in line, doing what you're told. Don't worry about it. It'll all work out. Look, no, it doesn't. Okay. And I definitely, again, am not standing behind the principle that something external is going to come and fix all this. That's religion. What else we got? What else we got? True. Lady Slee says, only reason folks doing the things they're doing is because the man shut most out of work and gave them a $600 bottle. Yes, with the unemployment. This is what I'm saying. This is all part of the system to mentally keep you in line. And again, we got to look at the bigger picture. Remember, it's never what it is on the surface. Whatever they're showing you on the surface, that's never what it is. There's always a bigger picture, a bigger agenda. And everything that they, like Kevin was talking about earlier, Everything they pump to you on the news, they do it for a reason, to keep pumping that fear into you, that despair, all of that shit. That's part of the systematic control, because I've been saying before all the shit popped off, going back years ago. They can control you through your emotions by one key element, and it's called fear. If I can control you through the emotion of fear, I can pretty much dictate to you anything I want you to do. Okay? That's a reality. Okay? And if we don't understand that, this is why people get sucked into all the shit that's going on. And most of those people that think Obatala or Shango or whatever's going to come back and fix this for them, that's basically subconsciously, they have a lot of insecurities and fears. And again, they're no different than the Christian that believes some Jesus is going to come out of the sky and rapture them up to heaven. It's no fucking different.
Jesus is coming. Look busy.
Yeah, it's no different. I don't care how you package it. I don't care if you dip it in chocolate. I don't care what you call it. It's still the same ignorant mindset, and it needs to be eliminated. It's not going to happen. Trust me when I tell you. And I stand behind that 100. What else we got? Kate Mama says, I've noticed how most are regressing back to old ways. Yeah, when desperation will do that. Unfortunately, that could be good and bad desperation. Desperation can motivate you to do by whatever means necessary, and desperation can make you do stupid ass shit. So we're gonna see a lot of that until
it's easy to be one way when everything is good, but when the pressure's on, that's when your real character comes out.
Yep, that's true indeed. Just in time says cops. Yeah, the cops TV show was fucking funny. It was entertaining. And you know what's funny about that? There's more, in my opinion. I watched a good amount of cops over the years. In my opinion, there's more white people getting arrested on that show, if I'm not correct. There'll always be some like trailer park rednecks like missing their teeth and shit. You know, I mean, from the episodes out, I'm not saying, yeah, there was black, I seen Mexicans, Latinos, but it just always seemed to me when I watch cops, maybe I'm wrong, somebody could chime in. It just always seemed like there was like trailer park trash getting arrested all the time. Like always showing up at some domestic dispute at Bubba's house, and you know, Bubba comes out of the trailer, he's got like all fur and shit on his chest, wearing his overalls and shit.
It's because that shit was more entertaining than what you see every day.
It was. And then I still love like the out of shape cops. That's why I used to watch it. Running chase, 24, 26. I'm chasing him on the corner. It's just like, really? This motherfucker got a badge? It was funny ass shit. Cops was some funny. I used to love the episodes. Some of the ones, like if it was a city or a state with a lot of Mexicans. I saw one episode I cracked up. Them motherfuckers opened the trunk, and they had guns in the back of the trunk. None of them motherfuckers knew English, and they were talking English before that. Nobody knew how the guns got. Nobody knew how the guns got in the trunk, and everybody forgot how to speak English. Yeah, it was some funny shit, man. But it's off the air now. That's gonna fix the problem, man. That's how you stop. That's how you stop racism and show that Black Lives Matter. You take Cops TV show off the air, and then you take Gone with the Wind. You don't show that no more, because that's gonna fix all the racism. And then take Chase out of Paw Patrol. Don't forget that. He's a police. By the way, he's brown. Take him off of Paw Patrol. That's gonna fix the racism. Put a black candidate on the Bachelor show. That'll fix it.
You know what I've noticed is so like along those lines. So like on Instagram, if you write an offensive comment, it's considered bullying, and it'll get you banned. So all of this could be an infringement on freedom of speech. Like, that's racist. But it's bullying.
That's part of the global control. Most definitely. Because remember, they want to control every facet of your life, what you do, how you think, eat. They want to know everything, because they can dictate to you. Like, look, I always said this years ago before this. Think about it. I used to ask this in classes I did prior, before there was YouTube. I said, look, man, do you really have a choice when you go shopping or you go eating? The average person will go, yeah. No, you don't. You got options, the options they give you. When you go buy a pair of sneakers, you got the options that they put in front of you. How many of us got to sit there and wrestle sometimes when we want to go grab something to eat on the outside? What are you in the mood for? You got to pick and choose from what they put there, unless, you know, you got it like that and have your personal chef and you can have him whip up, you know, I'm just saying as a whole.
Yeah, it's kind of like so Hertz rental car, they also own Thrifty, they own Dollar. So like you can say, oh fuck Hertz, I'll go to Dollars. Like same company, bro.
Same shit. Thank you. Good example. That's my whole point. They create the illusion you got choices, but you really don't. That's the thing we got to really start looking at. So if we didn't really have that before, how much more control do you think? I mean, what do they really want? They want every aspect, because control is power. We all know that. Whoever's in control has the power. Well, it's time for us to start demanding some of the control, not NASCAR taking down a Confederate flag. Who gives a shit? Okay.
You know, I once heard that the like the perfect society is a beehive, and like the bees in a beehive, they don't have any, you know, personal choice. Like they do the work that like all they do their entire life is work, and like they don't question authority. Like they, you know, it's like I get it. Like I once heard that the perfect society was a beehive, and maybe that's the ultimate end goal.
True indeed. True indeed. That's really the science of the beehive, is what we're going to have to use that concept to really get shit done. It's the only way it's going to work. What else we got? So Spirit Driven says the entire system / structure needs to be destroyed and rebuilt inch by inch, or create a separate system / structure. Revolt. Yes, as long as there's a plan. Like we say, it has to be a plan. We got to have a detailed plan in order for that to work. What does it say? All right, we talked about the defunding already. What else we got? Duma says it's funny that cops and criminals have the same snitches get stitches philosophy. That's true. What else we got? Yeah, that's true. What else we got? Amber Gator Girl, welcome from Jacksonville. Cool. No, that's correct. The police aren't the answer for every situation. But we have to make sure whatever situations they respond to, they're doing it right. And I think that's where the reform has to come in. What else we got? And that's true. Michelle P. commented earlier, that's how you got to look at the system as a whole. And I think that's going on now. And that has to be addressed. Part corrupt, part following orders, part fixes. All our institutions are like that. And that's a reality. I don't care whether it's the educational system, the banking system, government, law, that's the reality. And then you have to know that approaching it, and not just look at one spectrum of it. It's bigger. This is what I'm trying to say. It's bigger than just the one issue that people, or the major people think that they're focusing on. What else they got? Yeah, and Lady Shalice made a comment about that when I put that case up about, yeah, but is somebody going to step in and evaluate that case? And I hope they do, because you can't give two people with the same identical criminal record accused of the same identical crime. How do you give one person 2 years and the other person 26 years? That is just crazy.
And it was 26 years just for like a petty theft, right? Something like that.
armed, I think it was on, well, it wasn't a petty theft, but it was armed robbery.
Okay, but yeah. So 2 years versus 20. Yeah, like, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
26 years is your entire life, basically.
But but again, it just shows not only is the judge racist, but how does anybody in that police department, anybody in that city, anybody in that government not see something wrong with that? That's even more.
Well, I'm sure they do, but it's the people in power that they don't want to question. They don't want to,
Well, if you haven't been to St. Lucie, okay.
It goes back to
Tazi, you're muted, brother.
Goes back to that thing in the 80s where you got a certain amount of time for having the same amount of powder as you had crack cocaine. It was like triple or quadruple the sentence when you have crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Same racism, same racist basis for that.
True indeed. What else we got? Good point. What else we got? And that's true. Not all ancestors are worthy of veneration. That's a whole nother story. I've done tons of videos on that. And that's part, again, of educating yourself, because not all your ancestors are here for you. Some of them were killers. Some of them were alcoholics and drug addicts, okay? You need to understand that. Well, this too here. I've got to disagree with that. If you need to understand all of your ancestors, white or black, because you could have black or white ancestors that are not or not pertinent for your growth. But not feeding them any energy as far as not understanding them, that's not true, because trying to suppress them or not give them any energy, that can cause you problems too. Because I've seen, being initiated in Ifa and going back to Mises and working with the Eguns, I've seen a lot of dark-skinned African people in Mises see their Eguns come forward. Brother Mike, for Seth Athna, for example, had a Scottish ancestor that came through at one of the Eguns and did a lot of productive work for him over the years, and he can attest to that. And it blew him away, and he was shocked because he never took the time to really acknowledge that. So I think what you got to really eliminate when it comes to your ancestors is that ethnicity and color line, because you could be doing yourself a disservice. One, you can't think all your African ancestors are productive. That's a reality. Two, it's the same. Not all your white, Asian, or whatever background you are. It's just you got to deal with them on a case-by-case basis, and you got to eliminate ethnicity. Because through your work, you'll be able to detect which ones are productive for you and which ones are not. So I don't think really the solution is not giving them any energy, because if you don't give it any time to understand it, how are you going to really know what you're dealing with? So I understand the perspective, but I'm probably not 100% in agreement with that. I would say explore all aspects of your DNA. And that's why I've said for years, when I use the term embrace your DNA in its entirety, I mean that from understanding it. You can't embrace your entire DNA. And I've seen this, like, for an example, in the Kemetic community or in the Ifa community. Everybody always wants to connect with West Africa or Egypt. And bottom line is, by blood and genetically, not everybody comes from West Africa or Egypt. You might like it, you might like the culture, but you may not have that blood running through your veins. And you find out there's Somalia there, other areas of Northeast Africa, Ghana, other parts of West Africa, right? Because again, the choice factor, even in consciousness, we're not really given a choice. When it comes to African spirituality, they spoon feed you, right? They tell you what, and I've always said this for years, like with Egypt, everybody, I don't know why, but it's like everybody that is into some form of African consciousness, they only identify either with Ifa or Egypt, as if that's the only parts of Africa. And that's comical to me.
Yep.
What about when you go back to the Neolithics that existed before there was any pyramids? I don't hear nobody claiming the Pygmies and the Watusis. You know, these were the Neolithics that occupied the Nile area before there was even an Egyptian civilization, right? I don't hear anybody talking about the primitive tribes that exist that predate all of this shit. But we identify again with shit that makes us feel comfortable. Everybody identifies with Egypt because it's the most advanced. We can connect with its glory, and we can connect with everything that's tangible. But I don't see nobody screaming. How many tribes and continents and major cities and parts of Africa are there? We'll be here all day talking about it. Well, what are the main two in America and the Western Hemisphere that people are spoon-fed? Ifa and Egypt. And it goes way beyond that. Okay. What else we got? And that's a good point by Jermaine Mitchell. Yeah, we've been talking about that. Not sure what time you came in. The entire political system has to be restructured, big time, because we got these corrupt ass congressmen and senators making decisions for us that don't benefit us. That's what I'm talking about. Getting into positions that are influential, where you can make critical decisions that affect people, and that's the reality. All right. What else we got? Yeah, fuck the NFL. I agree. What else we got? I think we are at the end. Hold on, make sure I didn't miss nothing. I think we're going. Miss anything here? What else we got? Hold on. Thing jumped. Give me a second. Hold on, I'm trying to find my spot where I left off. Okay. Hold on, shit, I lost my spot. Fuck. Okay, here we go. Right there. Set the interest says the best way to help broke folks is not to be broke. Enough said. Yeah, Blast, I saw something that was supposedly reparations based off of the black household income of a one-time payment. Yeah, that's all bullshit. Trust me when I tell you. And I wouldn't count on waiting around for reparations. No, I don't have an account with the Black Bank. I've heard about it. I do know people are trying grants and loans. So if you have a business, that is something possibly to look into. All right, what else we got? All right, let's get that. All right, let's get the side conversations. What else we got? JR, good evening. Appreciate you too, JR. MIK, this is Don from Miami. Okay, Don.
Hey.
That's you?
I guess so.
MIK too? That's you?
No.
No, all right. They're saying this is Don from Miami. All right, Don, shout out to Don. You're right in the area. You're right in the neighborhood, Don.
Don Coast.
Don Dada. That's true. Only says firemen running the burning buildings. They're real supermen. I agree.
Yeah, it takes balls.
Spirit driven. No, we want everybody. We want people to come and no, that's good. Show that passion. We're not all going to agree with each other, but that's the purpose of dialoguing. We want everybody to comment, ask questions, you know. So that's step one. We got to know what's on people's minds. But at the same token, we all have to accept whatever conclusions we come to and all the issues we're discussing tonight, we're going to have to get some common ground. We're not going to ever come out of anything where everybody's going to be 100% happy. But as long as we come up with solutions that work for everybody, because that's not practical, that, you know, we're going to get up and everybody's going to be on 100% on the same page. But we can get close. All right. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like buttons and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that fun stuff. Forgot to say that earlier. What else we got here? Got some more stuff here. We're just gonna go through the comments. JR says that I don't watch too much TV, social media either. Distractions, manipulation of your energy and focus, mind control, energy and motion, discernment and understanding is key. That's true. Yeah, the N95 respirator mask. Yeah, they say they're the best for breathing, but yeah, that's true. I agree with you with that chip shit, Sethian. They're gonna have to kill me before I get a chip. We can get it to a point where that don't even happen. JR says, I'm gonna be straight up since I've been working left-hand path. Being consistent has really helped from being caught up in the madness. The work you do will prepare you. The external has no control over you. Look, man, I've been saying that since day one. That's the solution right there. Because the left-hand path is about all these energies, spirits, and deities we're talking about, we are accessing that aspect of how they reside and work through us. We're not looking for them outside of us. Now, through that work, if we have created external manifestations of them, but we know that comes from us activating that within us. We are all of those spirits that we talked about. They exist within the psyche. Anybody that looks at it from the reverse is religious. That's the whole point. They're archetypes. Go look up the definition of an archetype. An archetype are types of characteristics. This is why majority of them are synonymous with elements of creation, or they are synonymous with certain aspects of consciousness. Those are the archetypes that identify them. We all have an aspect of Lucifer or Set or Heru or Shango or Obatala within inside of us. See, a lot of these religions and traditional systems externalized it and they made us slaves to the Babalawo, to the Padrino and the Madrina. And now we became servants and we have to do this ritual, need to do that initiation, need to get this done. Spirit said this, and you become a money cow, right? And you're never done. And then you either continue to be a slave or you say enough's enough. I can do this shit myself. I don't need to keep pissing away thousands of dollars. And it's only a reality if you accept it. It's only a reality if you accept it. So there's some that just get tired of it and say enough's enough. And there's some that just are comfortable being a follower. And I'm glad you put that comment in there, Jerry. Man. We're not followers on the left-hand path. And that's what some people struggle with. Oh, how can you say that? Oh, you don't believe in God? Of course I believe in God. I look at God every day when I get up in the morning in the mirror. And that's the only God I need to see. Because that's the only thing really, you can't confirm anything is real outside of yourself. What are you saying, Benita? You're crazy. No, let me show you. The only thing that is real is you. And everything you can confirm that you're connected to or proceeds from you. Because let me give you an example. And I know the rehearsed answer everybody will give to this. I've always said this. I don't care if it's God, Allah, Jehovah, Obatala, Amun-Ra. Before you became of an age where you were aware and somebody introduced the concept of that to you, did that exist before they was introduced to you? I know most people say yes. I'm gonna have you marinate on that for a minute. To show you the only thing that is real is you, and whatever you accepted to accept as being real is real to you. Because there's some people per se that don't know nothing about the left-hand path. There's some people who live in other parts of the world that know little or next to nothing about Ifa. So is Shango or Abatala real to them? Be careful how you answer that question. Because
that can work inversely too. So So once you stop believing in it, did Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny all cease to exist?
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to still show you it starts within here.
Mhm.
Okay. But once you externalize it and you try to get people to co-sign on it, now you fall into that category. And you got to be careful when you set yourself up like that. That's my whole point. And that's what this path is about. This path is about not approaching it from that perspective. Because if you do, you're going to get disappointed. Believe me, at some point you will be disappointed. All right. All right. Spirit just says, as within, so without, or whatever. A seer sees a lightning bolt as a sign from Shango to get its cracking. I see nothing wrong with that. And again, that's personal. I mean, I don't know what you can overread into that. I think that's personal. And as long as you keep it personal, I have no problem with that either. But once you start saying a lightning bolt struck something, that was Shango and he's mad, that's fucking religious. That's just comical to me. So yeah, as long as you keep it personal, you could use whatever you want internally to motivate you. That's not what the issue is. The issue simply is when you try to get the masses to co-sign on it. That's an issue. Because then we're back to religion. All right, what else we got? Spirit just says, I'm conjuring the spirit of bourbon right now. Have fun. Lady Shlee says, school systems. That sounds like fun. Anyway, school systems are programmed to make robots to eat the bull. Yeah, and we talked about that. Definitely, that's an area that needs to be looked into too. And then shit, depends on what city and state you're in, and that level of degree changes drastically, right? It's funny how they have, and I guess if you're a parent, obviously you know this. It's funny how they have these, you ever see the grading systems? Another one, thanks. You ever see the grading systems, how they rate the schools? I find that kind of funny. And really, it's real simple. Usually, it's easy to figure out. It's not like what I'm getting ready to say is a surprise. Usually the type of neighborhood dictates the type of school it is, as far as, that's just basic common sense. There's a problem with that too. Okay, so yes, that stuff needs to be addressed too. What else we got? Sethian True says, would you allow them to give you the chip? What's your perception? I wouldn't allow them to. I would try to avoid it at all costs. Hopefully I'm never put in a situation where that has to be. I guess I would only know that if a life or death situation came upon me, I'd have to deal with that at the moment. But no, I just wouldn't randomly allow them to. And I think that's something, if we get to that point, each individual is going to have to evaluate that in the moment. Okay. So we can't be quick to say no, because we don't know. What if they created some deadly virus we were all worse than this, suffering from? You might say, no, I choose to die. Maybe you're saying that now until you feel what that feels like. I'm just putting theories out there. I'd be lying to you if I said I could 100% answer that. But how I can answer that at the moment, how I feel, absolutely not. I would try to avoid it at all costs. Yes, that's a good point. I can't even remember the last flu shot I got. It had to be whenever it was required as a kid in school. I've not gotten one since then. So I don't know what year that is. I'm going to have to say somewhere in the early 80s. I've never received a flu shot since the last time it was required of me to get it in school. And I'm not sure what grade that was. So that's
now, have you gotten the flu at all throughout those years?
I don't know if you call, I would maybe once or twice if that's what it was classified as.
Yeah.
I usually don't get the flu. I have allergy problems that can be confused sometimes for the flu or cold. But overall, I'd probably say no.
Yeah. because what's crazy about the flu shot is that you can get the flu vaccine, and still get the flu. Like
Right.
my dad got the flu shot, and he still got the flu. So it's like, dude, like, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't get that shit. I
Yeah.
like when you walk into the pharmacy to pick something up. You're in there for just an item and they offer. Nah, I don't do that shit. I don't want no flu shot.
Yeah, like, that's weird. Like they offer for free, or they give you like $5 gift card. Yeah, it's
Or
weird.
go to a movie. Get the
Weird.
fuck out of here.
Weird.
No, but it's honestly, whenever the last time as a kid it was required, that's the last one I got. And again, I'd have to go back. I'm gonna say, shit, maybe 85, 86, roughly. It could have even been earlier than that. That's how long it's been. No,
Freaking dinosaur.
yeah, it's been that long. I don't fucking.
I don't think they had flu shots back then. I never got.
No. Oh, you know what? Maybe what was it? What back in the day? You're my age, bro. What did we have to get vaccinated for back then? Was it chicken pox?
We got smallpox.
Okay.
Smallpox and a couple other things, but it wasn't.
Well, then that's what it
never a
was.
flu shot. Yeah, it was never a flu shot.
You're
Because
right.
I've never had a flu shot.
Okay, so then you're right. And whatever I know we had to have those vaccination cards back in the day when we went to school.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I ever did. And whenever the last time we had to do that as kids, that's when I did it. So I probably never even had a flu shot then. I'm probably stand to be corrected. But I know I've never consciously done one. I know that 100%.
You know what this reminds me of though? Like seeing some people and hearing them talk about I can't wait till a vaccine comes and we don't have to worry about this. It reminds me of the change after 9/11, how people just went for whatever was thrown at them as far as they felt that was going to keep them safe. You know,
Right.
There's a term to that phrase, to like that idea. It's like, normally people wouldn't want that, but you create a situation and they're begging for that.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. That's true. That's true. Good point. Here's a good comment by Lord Skullfreak. He says I don't know, he or she, I don't know. They saw that the virus was starting to kill less in numbers, true indeed. So they made this thing with George Floyd happen, knowing that people would protest in large groups, which would increase the spread again. I agree, I said that. And I said that in the first place the riots popped off was Atlanta. And that was the first place that opened up. So, and again, you got to look at the bigger picture. There's always a greater agenda. And I do believe that has something to do with it. And again, I'm not telling anybody to accept that. Do your own research. All right. What else we got? I agree. That's a good point by Spiritrism. A lot of people have said that over the years to abolish the Electoral College, because the Electoral College is another method to control the vote. I mean, shouldn't it just be every other competition is about whoever scores the most points wins, right? So why is this whole thing, this state has this amount of electoral votes, this one has this? But that's been talked. They a lot of people agree with that, and I agree too.
Wasn't that how Bush won the election? Wasn't it something related to that?
Yeah. He I believe that was his first go around, or you talking about junior or senior?
I'm talking about junior.
Yeah, well, it was one, because I know he had the 8-year run. It was one of those. Wasn't that the run against Gore? That was all.
I think it was the first one. I'm not positive.
I know there was a lot of controversy when he was going up against Gore with that. They were saying the votes were, but again, I may be off on that. I'm not too knowledgeable in a lot of the politics, but yeah, it's definitely a flawed system. That Electoral College thing is something Republicans have been manipulating for years, because it appeals, and because you look at where they set a lot of the electoral votes, it's in a lot of those conservative states, which is kind of crazy. Now, if you're going to do it, maybe you do it by population, but they wouldn't do that, because we know where a lot of the people that stand in the highly populated areas, majority of them. But anyway, that's a whole nother story, but that's a good point. What else we got? Yeah, and JR says discernment, critical thinking, manipulation of your emotions, fear divided by fight or flight. No, true indeed. All right, what else we got? Oh no. Shit. There we go. Jumped on me again. All right.
Yo, when are we getting some Hooters, bro?
Yeah. Well, let's see how the end of this month shape up. Did you check see if they open?
I think they're open because places around me are open in South Miami.
Yeah, a lot of shit is open over here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll hit you up. Maybe
Yeah.
hit that the weekend coming up.
Let's do it.
I know you craving for that shit, bro.
Chicken quesadilla with the boneless chicken wings. Oof. And a Coke. Oof.
There you go. There you go, man. What else we got? I think we at the bottom. I keep saying that, and then more shit pops up. Yvette, NFAC, maybe, not sure what that is. Maybe I'm just not thinking right now. No, we haven't talked about that, I don't think. VL's Corner says, I was in Santeria for a year and I get it. After I get my liquors and words, like, man, I can do this shit myself. I agree. Yeah, Spirit Driven said, Hooters are disgusting. Their wings suck and their asses are flat. Well, we don't go there for just that. But that's funny. Yeah, that bourbon got you lit. That bourbon got you lit. Nah, what the Hooters by us, the chicken wings off the chain. I gotta disagree with that. Maybe the
Best chicken wings I've ever had in my life.
Maybe
the best boneless.
The one by us is off the chain, and I've had a lot of chicken wings. Yeah, and maybe you've had bad experience there, but the one by us is off the chain. We go into that one all the time.
That's funny. The wings stuck in their asses are flat.
That's she's drinking that bourbon. That's that bourbon. No, Yvette. We haven't talked about that. Nah, that's all good, Spirit. You ever get your little sip on? Do you? Anybody heard about that? Taza, Jack, Kevin, and NFCA, the Not Fucking Around Crew Coalition. Sounds like some.
Never heard of that.
I never heard of
Nah, never heard of that.
Probably some new movement within a movement.
That's some Urban Dictionary shit.
And it's funny that Seattle shit, that has no. You see all the protesters there that took that little section in Seattle? I don't think I saw one black protester in there. I could be wrong, but that looked like some yuppies took that shit over.
I would love to ask Gar about that.
What's that?
The thing.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah, if he was here, he'd be a good person to ask about what's really going on over there, because he's right up that way.
That's kind of weird, man. It's like, so like, there's a term called weeaboo. It's like white people who wish they were Asian. And now there's all these white guys who wish they were black or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
you see the madness that's going on. How about just being you? How about loving you for just be you?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't connect with any of that shit. Be you, whatever that is, and people don't have to agree with it. Whatever that is. I mean, to me, that is insulting to yourself.
Yeah, right? It's pathetic.
That's sad. I've never heard of it. I mean. This is new, listening to you guys mention some of these groups or organizations. Yeah, Spirit Driven, she's nice on that bourbon. I'm totally straight. I love men, for your information. All right, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Blair says, check out Como 4 News. I don't even know what that is. Anybody know what that is?
Sounds like Hawaiian news or something.
I don't know. Yeah,
Como.
so much shit out there. All right, I think we are at the end. So, hey, I want to thank you, brothers, sisters, and everybody else that came on this evening. I just thought we'd kick it tonight, talk a little shit. Shout out to brother Taza, sister Raven,
Raven.
Kevin, aka Don Cost, the boss,
Kevin
aka
Kev.
Hooters Man, aka Chicken Quesadilla Man.
Kevin,
Hell yeah.
Tiger.
But yeah,
All right, man.
don't forget July 3rd, next Hip Hop and Occult show. We're gonna have some shit, some surprises. Taz, I was gonna get at you, man. Maybe I was thinking about devoting a whole show to the whole Philly, New Jersey rap scene.
We could do that.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
could
that's
build on
definitely. Yeah. I was thinking do a whole show and get into all the artists that came out of the Jersey, South Jersey, Philly.
Absolutely, we could definitely build on that.
Yeah, so yeah, I was gonna get with you on that. I'm thinking maybe on the 3rd we kind of go into maybe either. Now I appreciate you, Spirit Driven. Thanks for your input and for your honesty, even if it was the bourbon talking. It's all good. Stop. Nah, but I appreciate the passion. Hey, at least I respect you or anybody that has a solid opinion and a stance. Like, that old saying is true. If you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. So here's what it is. But yeah, I'm thinking about maybe we kind of piggyback into 90 MCs into the boom bap era. I also wanted to do a show on current, what they would classify underground artists like Sky Zoo, Joel Ortiz,
Right.
and Benny the Butcher. I want to talk about some of the good shit that's out there now that don't get mainstream or radio play.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean? So I think these are some of the ideas I have running through my head. But I think we should kind of pick up where we left off, maybe the next show, and kind of talk about some of the early, I think 90s needs to be broken down into a lot of categories.
Yeah. You can pick up that transitional period from the late 80s into the early 90s in this.
Right. And start talking about some of those artists. And then when we get to the mid 90s, we'll start talking about now with the boom, like groups like Artifacts, Bush Babies.
Right.
Born Americans, because of different eras.
Definitely. Different eras, different sounds, different transitions.
Yeah. So you guys don't miss that. Next one's going to be Friday night, July 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, that's going to be on Primordial Chaos Facebook. We do that show over there so we can play music and we don't got to worry about the copyright nonsense. I'm probably going to bring some of the brothers just back, some of the artists just to kind of sit in. I know Montu reached out to me. Definitely going to bring them back. I'll check with the other brothers if they just want to, sit in, kind of just kick it. I kind of enjoy that vibe. It just reminds me of, back in the day when we just, sitting on the front steps or sitting on the porch or the stoop, as we used to call it back in the day.
Yeah.
Chilling on the stoop, just talking. So I kind of enjoy that vibe, man. So I'm thinking maybe
debating on our favorite artists. Yeah.
There you go. Only thing that's missing is the 40s. That's the only thing that's missing, man.
No doubt.
So maybe we just need to get a couple 40s or some Bartles and James nonstop. Zima, remember Zima?
Zima, yeah.
I'm telling my age, man. I'm telling my age.
I'm right there with you, B. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But again, I want to give everybody thanks for all the birthday wishes. My birthday was 2 days ago. I know a lot of people reached out to me on Instagram, emailed me. If I did not get back to you, it's just a lot busy. But I want to thank everybody that did reach out to me. I appreciate it. Next year's the big 50. My wife's been telling me I'm 50 for the last 3 years. That's a whole nother story.
I'm glad to hear I wasn't the only one that got that.
Yeah, you get that too? Yeah, I get that.
No doubt.
Yeah, I get that. I've been 50 for the last 3 years, by the way. So that's coming next year. But look, man, I can't complain. I feel good for 49, man. I really do. I don't feel like I'm 49 physically or mentally. I really don't. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, that's what we got upcoming. Look, I appreciate everybody. This was fun. Appreciate everybody's input. I'm going to try to do more shows like this where we can kind of just kick it and dialogue about what's going on. Sometimes we don't always got to be serious. Everything ain't got to be, well, then there's times we got to be like that. But this is kind of like, I think it's good to just do a little open forum and kick it once in a while. But again, I appreciate everybody, appreciate the support. Just a reminder, those that are on the Patreon, we got the Leviathan ritual next Saturday, 3 Eastern. Look for a video between today and sometime in the next few days. It'll be a preparation video for that ritual and some other things that'll be on the Patreon for tier 3, 4, and 5. I encourage you to check out the Patreon page. I got the Red Magus mentorship program on there that's growing. Check it out, patreon.com/Beniti. I'm sure you can find something on there that you can gravitate towards. You know where to reach me. Information's in the description box. Brother Taza, appreciate, salute to you, brother. Brother Kevin, AKA Chicken Wing Man. Who
Their
this
wings
man?
suck. Well, what is the wings are sucker and their asses are
Yeah,
flat.
Spirit Driven said their wings suck and they got flat asses.
Flat.
You need to come to the one by us. Okay. Chicken wings is off the chain. All right, flat asses, I don't know about that. You might be right about that. But that was a good one. Appreciate that. But Jack, if you're still, I think Jack, you're gone. Shout out to Jack. I know he had to be in and out. Appreciate your input also. Raven, thank you for swinging through. And everybody in the chat that was interacting tonight, we appreciate all of you, man. All right. We'll see you guys on the next run and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Peace.
Peace out.
All right, peace, peace, guys.
Yes, yes.
Peace, bro.